I was hoping Djokovic and Nadal and Federer were going to retire, and then it would be my turn. But it hasn't turned out that way, has it? With these new kids on the block, and that's how tennis works, isn't it? It's just players come through, and you have to take your chance while it's there, because it may not come again.
We're down to the semi-finals. The semi-finals will be played on Friday at the All England Tennis Championship. Tomorrow we're recording this on Thursday afternoon, and these are the outright markets as we stand now on Thursday. Novak Djokovic is the favourite, no surprise, -182. The number 2 seed, bidding for his 8th Wimbledon crown. Carlos Alcaraz, number 1 seed, +275. Daniil Medvedev is +1,000, and Yannick Sinner is also +1,000. It's very, very hard to disagree with those odds, isn't it? Medvedev and Sinner have got to play the games or the matches of their lives, really, especially Sinner. He's got to play the match of his life to beat Djokovic. He almost did last time. We'll speak about that in a minute. But on their outright market, very hard to have any sort of opinion now. And it's very hard to have an opinion anyway when we get to the semi-final stage of a major, isn't it?
It wasn't that easy at the start either, was it? We looked at this outright market. Djokovic was, 8-13 in old money?
But he hasn't changed much, really.
At the start of the tournament.
He's won all those matches, and his odds haven't really changed. I mean, he started, what did he start? -162?
He was about 1.62 in decimal, about 8-13 in old money. I suppose it just shows you that he was very, very short to start with, doesn't it? I can't see any argument from my point of view in terms of those outright odds. It looks like a Djokovic Alcaraz final, and which is what most people want. It's not great from my personal point of view, but the neutrals, I imagine they're very much looking forward to that.
Anyone who's got tickets will be very looking forward to that as well. They'll be going for a very large amount of money on the black market. There'll be a lot of money. Just before we move on to the matches, we might not see Alcaraz against Djokovic. I've spoken to you as the tournament's gone on. You've become more and more impressed with Alcaraz, and a lot of people have. I mean, you said at the top of the show there, he's adapted his well to the grass court game. What have you been impressed with? What changes in his game have you seen that you thought to yourself, well, Alcaraz is really being very different here than what we've seen before? And what has he got to do to beat Djokovic if the two of them do meet? I'm just saying this, we're going to talk about the final, obviously, probably on Saturday. But what has he got to do to beat Djokovic? If it's not this final, what's he got to do to change his game to actually beat the great man?
I don't think he needs to change that much. I just think that if you look back to that French Open match they played, he just got himself into such a state mentally, didn't he? And it impacted on him physically.
Your XRP bag is boiling over.
Young lad, he's not
well,
a 35, 36-year-old experienced guy who's played best part of 30
I don't know what that means.
Finals, like Djokovic. So it perhaps isn't surprising. Perhaps we're expecting too much of this.
No, Mr. Wales.
I think that's it. I think he just has to.
Around here,
easy for me to say.
There's something known around here as justice. Well, we have something here called the Missouri Boat Ride. Made a killing off of XLM today. That's good. It's all good, These things are good. Judge ruled that XRP isn't a security, so that Gensler can now regulate it. 505, 504. All of your orders were executed. It's good. Oh, to buy. XLM and XRP are linked. Do I think it could go through 7 today? Yes, I do. I've got 7 minutes before we have to call in. It's 6:15, 1.3 million. A lot of these opportunistic shorts that helped out their buddies at the Lynn Partners and whomever, they're going to cover. Added calls today. I feel like the professional buyers have them over a barrel above $6. Well, I think one thing might be happening. Should the teacher stand so near to me? I think one thing that might be happening is the big buyers might be waiting to see earnings, both as a confirmation, but if they're good, then that gives them a reason to buy, and that gives them something they can tell Gary Gensler. Remember, Gary Gensler, the SEC, FINRA, only are worried if stock prices go up. Then they want to check to see if the CEO or the buyer is doing something, working with others. When stocks go down dramatically and there's communication among market makers, there's coordination among LLCs, there's coordination among so-called funding firms and so-called institutional money managers, Gary Gensler does not care one bit. Robert Cook doesn't care. The OTC markets don't care. And you really have to wonder why. Because it doesn't help the United States. It doesn't help steel towns, doesn't help that town from Pennsylvania where Biden isn't from. It just doesn't help. It doesn't help the U.S. tax treasury, city treasuries, state treasuries. It doesn't help jobs. It doesn't help the trade balance. When trillions of dollars of counterfeit shares are sold out of Germany and elsewhere in the United States, it doesn't help anybody in the United States except it helps prime brokers like Goldman Sachs and the criminals themselves, and they don't pay taxes on it. So, I mean, at least when the media covers for an obviously senile old man that belongs in a home, the president, what they're doing to the president is elder abuse as far as I can tell. But you at least get it because the donors of the Democratic Party support the media. The media is full of non-thinking, non-critical thinking liberals that have an agenda. And even maybe the CCP is involved. Who knows? But you, at least there's somebody in the United States that benefits. Democrats. Half the country, I guess, they feel like they're benefiting. But who benefits from this criminality that is covered up from the toppermost all the way down to the lowermost, like the so-called journalist at, I can't remember if he was Bloomberg or Forbes. And he says, I sleep very well at night, while he lies. Why do they cover up? Who does it protect? I don't get it. It's really a study in psychology of how some people can be complete arseholes and they're not even looking. It doesn't even help them. Doesn't help them. Doesn't help Democrats. Doesn't help liberals. It helps a handful of overpaid wankers and criminals in the hedge funds. And it does help juice the returns of these massive pools of money that could get nowhere near the returns they're getting unless they cheated. But it's not helping voters, doesn't help citizens. It doesn't even help the Ukraine. Imagine if you had trillions of dollars of profits taxed instead of sent offshore. You could go to town helping the Ukraine if that's your cause. But this blindness to what is going on at best, or complicity at worst, makes no sense to me. It is destroying the United States of America from the inside. It's almost as if you were the head of, say, the Chinese Communist Party, and you've been working at it a long time, and you figure, hey, we've waited thousands of years or hundreds of years to regain our standing. We can wait a little bit longer. Let's just eat them out from inside, and let's turn them against each other. Let's call one of them Democrats and one of them Republicans, and anybody that speaks out against Hillary Clinton is a misogynist and a white supremacist. And then we can take them down. We've got to stop allowing people to separate us with these bumper sticker emotions that just aren't true. They just aren't true. Even in all of this difficulty, there's no greater country in the world. There's no place. All right, I got to call in. Otherwise, it's going to be, now my phone is freezing. It's going to be all about all right, here it is.
Bill,
I'm ready. You're on.
ready to go? Let me just let me just.
All right, you're live.
I've just got a big finger. Let me hit the merge. Hold on a second.
You've got a big finger? Is it 7 or 8?
All right, everybody, welcome again. It's I don't even know what day it is. Thursday to the 3 o'clock. Guess who the fraud is today? I guess we'll name it that. Anyway, this is about naked short selling fraud. Again, this is not advice, blah, 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 because the SEC is listening. We're giving you our opinions and what we hear, and we take your questions to hope we can answer.
I have some advice for the SEC. Settle the trades. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No big deal. Let's start and get right to the heart of the whole issue here. And everyone here, take 1 second and just hit the symbol up. Eddie Dog Tom X-Ray. EDTX. All right? It was $14 this morning. It hit a high of 80. That is the beauty of a naked short squeeze. The company didn't get the cure for cancer to go to up, to $80. That is a naked short. That's folded. When they fold, that's what it looks like. And this is the party we're going to have for our friends in Finger Motion and in GTII. They can play all the games they want. At the end of the day, the only way out of all the counterfeit shares they sold is to buy them back. All right, so take a look at Eddie Dog Tom X-Ray. I don't own it. Friends told me about it, and I stopped looking. I wasn't paying attention. It only ran, 14 to 80. Again, so that's what the game is about. So for those who think that options and Finger Motion, they're so far away, well, don't you wish you had the options in a stock like that, the $20 calls, and now they went to 80? That's what the game is about. And the game is alive only for one reason, due to security fraud, and the SEC allows the Kramers and Lynn partners to continue this nonsense of keep selling counterfeit shares like we don't know what's going on. All right, William, everyone is sort of reached out and saying that tomorrow morning, Finger Motion will have their earnings out. So Dr. Aziz posted it. He heard it. Everyone's hearing it. So I assume tomorrow morning the earnings or the revenues will be out for the quarter, and we can only guess on what they're going to be. All right, so again, the rush to sell, the panic, the selling of the shorts was to take your money. That's the game they played. They said, stop the upside, let's take their money and make them panic. That's all they tried to do. That was the attack. They tried to take it, and now they have to try to cover back what they sold. And obviously, there's some smart people around here that are scooping it up as they toss it out the window. All right? You can see the calls are starting to pick up volume again. If you are afraid to buy the stock,
You can always buy an option. Just owning one option, or 10 options for 1,000 shares of stock. You can buy the $9 calls for 50 cents, the $10 calls for 45, the 11s for 40, and so on, always up the chain. Those are here for the home run swing. That's what it's about. You don't make money unless you get the home run swing. That's what options are about. All right, but if you catch it, you make a fortune from it. That's what I hope you understand it. And when the stock was screaming, I tried to get people to rotate out of their options, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s that were worth a lot of money. You sell those and you take your profit, and you can buy the cheap calls and have a home run swing for free. That's the option game. Okay, well, you guys can try to figure that out a little bit more down the road. But the short sellers, Lynn Partners, is doing everything in their power to try to get it to be red today. Hurry up, get it red. We drop the bids, make people panic. I don't think anybody I know is panicking. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. On the update on Wolf, I'm hearing there's 400,000 to sell between $3.80 and $4, and they will be moving into GTII. The GTI short sellers are nice enough to just keep laying it out there cheaper for our friends to buy. It's remarkable. I'm actually even warning them that they're coming, and they don't even care. That's the crazier part. Right, so at the end of the day, after we finish off Lynn, we're going to go tackle the GTI shorts and run them into to prison also. And to my friend Johnny, who's out at the Pennsylvania State Prison, speaking to the prisoners with Darryl Strawberry today. All right, we wish you the best of luck out there today, and tell them that we have leave a couple of cells out. We got some dogs we want to send their way to catch their daily beatings out in Pennsylvania prison. Anyway, any questions, William? We'll start with you. You have anything?
Well, there's a positive thing. Heidi just told me, and maybe you already knew it, but Charlie Payne ended his program today by saying, Gary Gensler, look into MMTLP. So because of you, Ham, and because of everybody on this call, finally the mainstream media, that's what I call Charlie Payne, is putting pressure on Gary Gensler to do his job. So
I don't know how. I have no idea how no one's addressed this for over 220 days. It's remarkable. Okay, I've been doing this 23 years. It's remarkable that Lynn Partners on Madison Avenue is allowed to even open their door today without being locked up. I don't know how the Kramers, who have been complete looters, destroyers, loan sharks, how they're even walking around. All right? I don't know. I don't understand how the world allows these guys to keep doing this stuff. But that's the SEC's job and the DOJ. But we're going to do our best. And for everyone here, we are going to have a beautiful experience on Monday with the truck at the SEC. We're working on some nice slide presentations. People that are shareholders are coming up with their best ideas. We're not going to hold anything back. We're going to let it rip. And we want these people arrested. Plain, simple. And now, now that you gave me the Charlie Payne's speaking up again, we might as well drag him back into the fight and put him on the truck also as our leader. Get out there and speak up. Hopefully a few of us will be down in D.C. I told everyone, William, you'll be signing your new book outside the SEC on Monday. For shorts.
I'm going to sign tennis balls.
Tennis balls. But so we're going to be aggressive. That's Monday. Finger motion earnings, I believe, it tomorrow. That's what everybody's telling me. I assume they're going to be pretty.
So Ham, just on that, maybe you could talk about the makeup of cash and revenues at Finger, because I think the number to focus on tomorrow, if it comes out, will be revenues or cash balances or cash flow. Earnings might be at this stage in the company's life.
So I keep saying earnings. it's the revenue. Listen, the company is growing. Just read the last report. The thing is, it went from 15 million to 30 something million for the year. So this company was listed on the NASDAQ. It's been naked shorted down. These guys have been ruthless that they're trapped and they can't get out now. So this is what it looks like when you get a rat trapped. They're trying to fight to get out. And you know what? The end of the day is coming. We will be brutal. And listen to those words. Brutal in front of the SEC glass windows on Monday. Okay? We will make sure that they know about Lynn Partners. We will make sure they know about the Kramers and Alpine with the proof. I may have a group of individuals handing out flyers standing at the SEC front door. Okay, we're working on that now to get some people down there to actually hand out some nice literature to everyone in DC. We will give everything we have to make sure that we expose the Kramers and Lynn Partners. We've had enough of the security fraud, watching these blatant attacks. These guys all belong in jail. It's just remarkable that they're still standing.
There's a question. Do you think Lynn Partners and Jeff Easton have enough power to run another bear raid today or tomorrow or Monday?
Nope. I think they, again, we're hearing that the short squeeze has begun. The tax down, again, they're still over that number. He said it's going to take a couple of weeks to close them out. But you know what? This is the type of stock you're going to turn, and it's going to be gone one day. You're going to say, oh, my goodness, this is going to be one of these EDTXs. We've been studying this not for a week, for a couple of years. All right, so we're not guessing. We're documenting it every day as best we can. I can't stop what we watched yesterday. Okay, that is complete panic by the shorts because they're getting margin calls and they're dead in the water. That's why they attacked. But everything they sell, they got to try to buy back. Go ahead.
No, sorry, you weren't finished.
I said they actually added 700,000 more to the real short. And if you look at it, that guy's short below $4. He shorted it. I've just given the benefit of the doubt. $1.30 and let's say at $4, he's got like a 2.25 average. So he's down 4 points on the million shares already. That's 1 million shares of the real short. Everybody on this call your broker up and say, do not lend my shares out. And they're going to say, oh, we never lend it out. So where are they getting the shares from? If they don't lend it, you got to remember, new people buy it. They lend your shares out. They're lending out a fake share. So if I sell my shares to you, if you buy a naked shorted share, your broker thinks that you own the stock and they lend that out. They're lending out a fake share. So the fabrication just continues. Just call your broker up and say, do not lend my shares out. Put it down. And they'll say, okay. End the conversation. Take your 5 minutes. I don't care if you have 1 share or 1 million shares. Take them off the market. Put it in order to sell your stock. Good till cancel. Put it out there at $30. Just leave it there. You can always change it. Okay, they can't lend out shares when you have them up for sale.
If Long's organized an attack like the shorts did over the last 2 days, the SEC and FINRA would call and investigate. They don't do anything on the way down.
Right, they don't look at that. But again, that's why we're not allowed to tell you what to do. The word, I always look at it saying, hey, the way they attack naked short sellers is accumulation. If you wanted to buy the stock, I always tell people, buy half and bid for half. That takes the volatility out of the stock. The short needs the stock to swing up and down to make everyone panic. It's like King Kong shaking the tree. Hopefully you fall out of it, right? That's what they're trying to do. And I'm sure they shook a few people out yesterday. That's what they do. And everybody starts panicking. Oh, my God, look at them come. Look at them come. This is the outcome when they can't get people to sell, and there's smart people accumulating it. We know what's going on. We sit here. There's big people accumulating it. You know, I had a friend that called me up. He said his buddy bought 200,000 today on the dip. All right, so people are buying it. This is real. People are here. People know EDTX is what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. The only reason we're saying that today because it happened today. All right, but again, these guys, these idiots, keep trying to sell it low and trying to scare you out. It's the only reason they're doing it is because of margin. So that's the game. Any other questions?
Yeah, several. But I want to point out first, I got to find it before I lose it. David Kurtzman, he wants me to tell you he's making up a sign about naked shorts regarding finger, GTI, and MMTLP. He's going to put it on his rig, and he's going to send you a picture when it's done, which
Beautiful.
I think.
We love it. Send a picture. We'll get it on our truck. We'll get it out there on Monday.
It's awesome.
We'll have a slide presentation. You know what? Maybe we put up the Charlie Payne quote with Charlie Payne's face on it, and get Charlie Payne out there and say, "Hey, Gary Gensel, do your job." You know, maybe we can get the barcode where you can scan it. You can actually hear Charlie Payne saying it. You know, we put that on the truck again, like we did with Charlie. We did with Charlie Big Nose Mayo when he called up GTII. For those who haven't been here the whole time, in GTII, the naked short sellers, when they got paid off their toxic debt, they actually called the company up trying to buy stock and left a voice recording, and it's on Twitter. So if that was Tesla or GameStop or AMC, that would be on television. That's how crazy that is, that the short seller would leave his name and offer the company trying to buy stock. Think about that. The criminal's calling them up, and we have the voice recording of it. If that was GameStop, AMC, Tesla, it would be on TV, the biggest story in history. Because if it's a small stock, no one seems to care. They don't think they care, but we do.
There's a lot of people that double down or bought more.
So the gentleman is driving a rig,
Yeah.
working his ass off, jeopardizing his life, driving for his family every day, and Wall Street stealing his money. My friend was a truck driver, his dad and my friend, and it's a hard job every day, traveling back and forth, hauling stuff. You got to be on your toes every day. And link partners and the Kramers don't give a rat's ass about what you do. They want to steal your money. Think about that. These are not our friends. So when people say to me all the time, "Oh, you're so crazy," they're not my friends. They're not our friends. These guys are stealing your money. Couldn't give a rat's ass. So do your part. Try to help out. If you don't, I don't care if you buy the stock. I don't care anything about that. But you need to stand up and say something, because they're just going to steal from you, your kids, your grandkids. It's not going to end. So we need to stand up and end this right now.
Somebody's talking about that he's either got to sell his house and rent, or I guess sell his shares. And I don't see much of a choice there. I think you got to sell your shares.
You got to protect your house.
You got to protect your house.
Listen, when you're wounded, go to the hospital and get patched up. You can't stay on the front line. So that's part of the game. You have to do what you have to do. I do think it's going to run between now and Monday. I do think we're going to get a Lynn partner lynching here shortly. These guys can't. Where are they going? We're calling them out. They're going to be the star of the show on Monday in front of the SEC and the DOJ, by the way. We're going to let them know who they are. We're going to drag Jeffries into the fight as their prime broker. They want to play the game. They want to protect the crooks. We will make sure everybody knows about it. So I feel bad that you have to do that, but I can't do anything about it.
we all go through such difficulties. How do we know when a squeeze is happening?
When you faint and you wake up and say, "Oh my God, what happened to my stock?" That's how you know. How do you know? Look at EDTX. That's all you need to know. That's what it looks like. You got it in real time today. It went to $80 from 14, and now it's 37. That is a short squeeze that happened. Will it bounce back up? I don't know. I know nothing about it.
This is, one guy says this is going to be a lynching. Lynching.
That's a good one.
Another gentleman said earnings are on the 21st, by the way. Who knows? We're
Everybody's saying, I've heard it from 5 different people. Everyone's saying it's tomorrow. I don't know.
yeah, so whatever.
Listen, all I know is I can guarantee you the truck is going to be in front of the SEC on Monday. That's for sure. All right? We can show you the proof that Lynn has increased the short position. We prove it every day. I get the data. I put it up. We know they're short about equivalent to 3 million shares to do the options. We know they're short 1 million shares of borrowed shares. So 157, add the 3 and the 1, whatever you want to round it up, it's 160 million shares short now. Where are they going? We traded 1.3. If they bought every share to go, they got 158 million more to go, whatever the number is.
They are, at least one, but maybe several people are pointing out that EDTX was halted 9 times today. So they think that Finger's going to be halted. I don't know.
Listen, I don't even want to say what I would tell you to do in Macy's window. You could do it with me in Macy's window. I'll do anything to take my stock to go from 14 to 80 today. You can hold it all day long. Trust me. If I was in that name, I would have made a couple of $1 million already. I could care less.
Right.
Okay, with the holds. So stop worrying about the holds. Stop worrying for payment for order flow. Means nothing. Stop worrying about holds. Stop thinking everybody here is going to screw you. The system, when they fold, will allow you to make money. They don't stop it. EDTX, that's the same thing as MMTLP, right? They didn't halt it. MMTLP was halted because the actual issue of the stock was a complete fraud by the shorts. That thing had so much hair on it from the short side, not the long side. The regulators let it trade. The regulators let that whole thing happen, and they don't even know what to do to stop to fix it. That's how bad it is. And you know what? Thank God Charlie Payne's out there yapping it up. That's a good sign.
Is high volume an indicator that it's running?
Is high volume? No. Look at EDTX. What's it trading? It trades 111,000 shares. Today traded 2 million. Its average 90-day volume is 111,000. It's up to 2 million shares. The stock went up, $60. Everyone thinks you need 100 billion shares to trade. No, they have to buy it. If no one's selling it, it just continues to go higher.
Rich Woljalak points out that Robinhood is saying Finger earnings on the 25th. We'll find out. We'll find out.
No, that's no problem. What's today's date? I don't even know what today is.
I don't even know. It's 13th, maybe?
Okay.
One guy said it seems odd that they added call strike prices when they hit the stock, just like AMC. I don't know. I don't know if there's a question in there.
Listen, when the stock goes and there's options available, okay, the people are expanding the option strikes for a reason. They look at it for some sort of form of protection or a chance to profit and the increased upward spike in the stock. Okay, that's why they're added. They're not added just to lure us in to buy a 20-cent call. It has nothing to do with anything. If this stock starts running, people can start rolling up, and that's what they're looking at. They didn't add them. They didn't add the 50-cent puts, so we know they only think it's going one way. Listen, this stock has all the signs of a squeeze imminent on it. That's how I see it. And with the truck and the company doing their part, all the things are coming together. I told you, it reminds me of Volkswagen. Stocks don't go up straight up. We all want that. Oh my God, my stock went from, today I bought it at 14, I sold it at 70, and one day I bought it. I mean, we all want that. Now, I don't know that name, I never even heard of it. But again, there's so many stocks out here, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But again, in finger motion, we're putting the truck in front of the SEC. We're going to pound the shit out of them. We're going to put Charlie Payne up there with MMTLP. We're going to expose the Kramers. Just go look at the SEC building. William, you've been there 10 times.
More than that.
How that is unbelievable that building is all glass, and we could park that truck almost in the lobby of the building. So every enforcement agent, every attorney working for the SEC will see the faces of fraud 20 feet from them, and it'll be there all day so they can choke on it. There you go.
It's all glass like Gensler's head.
Right. It's all glass. They can't deny it. Everything we're doing, we're showing the regulators, we're showing the politicians. Everything that happens on Monday will be handed to the politicians with a slide presentation to show them what else would you like us, who are we supposed to call next, right? The only thing left we can call is the Keystone Cops. For anybody who's too young, it's a bunch of stupid cops. I don't know what to say. That's what we have going on right now.
Someone's asking, and it's hard to rephrase it, but in your experience, what will happen in a supposed 3-week squeeze?
Well, it's going to gradually climb. It'll spike and pull back and spike. That's a 3-week squeeze. A day squeeze is Eddie, David, Tom, X-Ray. That is your day squeeze. That can happen also. A squeeze has many looks at it. Look at NVIDIA. The video is like it's turned into the Phantom of the Opera. It's going to be a 100-day squeeze. They keep squeezing the shorts. I posted it before. The shorts lost $8 billion in NVIDIA on their surprise earnings of the AI chips. And NVIDIA keeps pressing it. How high does it go? This is like how many days now? So it's ran up 150 points already.
How much do you think was short yesterday?
In finger?
Yeah.
I had the data, didn't I? Hold on a second, I'll tell you exactly.
I don't remember it, but
hold on a second. 1 second.
I'm not as on top of it as you are.
Yesterday they shorted 1,657,000 yesterday.
So someone's asking you, did the shorts lose money yesterday?
No, they just piled on. They made the mess worse. We bought it all up. We lost $1, but we sucked in 1.6 million more shorts.
They're all underwater. Every trade, maybe some trades aren't, but most of their trades are underwater.
Listen, 1.6 million shares is sucked up by longs. And if that doesn't tell you there's big buyers around, then I don't know what to tell you. Unless someone on this phone bought 1.6 million yesterday, all right, there's big buyers scooping it up. And they're doing it again today.
Can brokerage firms lend shares out of retirement accounts?
The brokerage firms take shares out of everyone's accounts. Just keep up on top of them. Okay, again, by law they shouldn't, but they do whatever they want. I mean, it's their game. You could see it. I'll post the Goldman Sachs easy to borrow, and you can see how easy they do it. So I'll post up that story.
That's like asking if brokerage firms can put IOUs in your account in exchange for cash.
That's it. We don't put IOUs in it. Everyone has IOUs.
Will good revenue numbers, if they come, even matter when all they do is fraudulently short?
Good numbers do matter, because when a company's growing, there are fundamental players that are coming to the table now. Okay.
What about the Merrill Lynch $5 number?
Merrill Lynch is the $5 and 300 million market cap.
And
Think about
institutions
Merrill Lynch.
and research.
They just got fined for fraud, and they're out here. For those who don't know, Merrill Lynch imposed a requirements, and anyone in the Merrill Lynch system, whether you clear Merrill, Bank of America, the stock has got to be north of $3, and I forgot what it was. It's $5 and a $300 million market cap. If you don't meet those requirements, you're not allowed to own the stocks. So they make people who have their stocks in their account. Imagine if your stock did make the requirement, but all of a sudden was naked shorted down. Merrill Lynch would say to you, William, you own the stock, it just broke our line, you have to sell it. Merrill Lynch actually helps the shorts by making people liquidate stocks that don't meet their requirements at Merrill Lynch.
Shorts are too big to fail. We need those guys. Can't let them get in trouble.
So that's what they've been doing. All right. So again,
is there significance to the $6.15 number? Someone says.
Okay, Wolf. Obviously, Wolf is going towards 4. I told you there's 400,000 shares for sale, and they're moving into GTI because I just saw GTI pick up its ugly little head, and so they're buying that now. Okay, listen, it's all good. We have an army of people willing to help and fight the battle with us, which is great. People bought stock at Wolf below $1. They're selling it almost at 4. So, we have.
And they had to wait. They had to wait while Yorkville.
They had to wait. They waited. Everybody knows, but we're coming in here, and when we destroy Lynn Partners, we'll send all our troops into GTII.
Is GTII still your best setup?
GTII is the number one setup through the complete fraudulent activity by the Kramers and Alpine, and we have the proof. You can't get any better than that. Finger motion, I ate a nut. I'm sorry. Finger motion has a different. It's a different, but it's growing. Believe me, we're up to 150 million shares. I mean, this thing is growing into we'll call it a baby shack. This thing is ready to. This is ready to go. This is a monster ready to explode. I mean, this is, has options. So the options just add gasoline to the fire here. I mean, so this is something that is extraordinary that is built into it.
It's always worked for them before to sell.
Oh, no, listen. Charlie Payne, whoever just said that, whether it's you, William, or
Heidi Margus.
Heidi, listen to me, Heidi. Charlie Payne just on TV screaming at the chairman of the SEC. This is very different times. All right? I'm doing this a long time, Heidi. This is very different. We never had anybody supporting us. We never had any social media. It was us banging on drums to each other. That's how it was for 23 years. We have the Pearl commercial here for us. Okay, my friends in the UK were out there. My friends were moved from Hong Kong. They moved to the UK, and their network. They're telling one friend who's telling one friend who's telling another friend. They love that Pearl commercial. Okay, they understand it. They know what Finger Motion's about. They lived in Hong Kong. They know what this company's about. And now they feel comfortable that seeing the attacks, everyone's so educated on it. Okay, so we have a big Chinese community that is actually getting people to start buying the stock because they can see it. ED Tom X-ray shows you the rewards. That's why we're here. So again, you can see every time the stock picks up, they try to offer it lower. They just trying to discourage people from buying it. If this goes through 7 today, just get the body bags because that means they're dead. That's all you have to understand. They push it down, there's buyers. Their back is against the wall. They have to defend that $7 number. You know, they got to throw their moms out the window to save the ship. Everybody goes in the ocean at that point. So that's what you're looking at. That's how big the $7.715 number, whatever it was, the high yesterday. Once we go through that, get the body bags, because that's the end of them.
So,
that's my opinion on it.
Did I already ask you if GTII still is your best setup?
Yes.
But Wolf is helping GTII.
Wolf
Wolf
is,
help Finger?
No, Wolf people are here already.
Right.
They look at it as Wolf is, Finger Motion is a $7 stock, $6 stock. They can buy into Finger and get enormous leverage buying in a stock at $1.20, you know. So that's what they're piling. They own thousands of calls in Finger. They have their believe me, their fingerprints are all over Finger, as you want to say it. I don't know what else to say.
I don't know what this means, but they're hitting a lot of doji candles coming into the close on Finger. I'm not that good a technician.
Again, charting fraud to me is very difficult. I don't know anybody who can do it. You know, all these people say, oh, it hits my numbers, it hits this. I think the chart people, like that gentleman who keeps posting the charts on the stock, who keeps claiming this, that, the other thing, I think he's just playing the longs and getting you guys to bail out of the stock, you know, picking his targets and doing that stuff. I'm sure people, oh, it's going down. Whatever that guy's name is, Arker, Ace, whatever the hell his name is, Arker, I think it is. This is what's there. I see this. I see that. Go chart Apple. You're wasting your breath here. Okay? You can talk about it, say anything you want, but I think he's playing the longs as fools, and he's making you panic out. And you know what? Good luck. You want to listen to him? Don't ask me about it. It could kill us.
Well, I think in his defense, he's set up some good entry points and people got. But anyway.
Oh, no, listen, if it helps you out, helps you out. Doesn't help me out means nothing to me. Accumulation always leads to higher prices.
You wouldn't listen as long as it would require.
No. Listen, I trade from your gut. If you can't feel it, then you don't. It's very difficult if you don't have a gut feeling about things. Okay? If I was running $1 billion, I would rip Finger Motion's face off. I would have this at 10 myself and torture these guys. All right?
If Jeffries has a margin call and they enforce it on Lynn Partners, aren't they putting a gun to their own head?
Well, no, absolutely. But the gun to their own head is, okay, we can lose $1 billion or we can lose the whole company. That's the gun. That's the bullets in the chamber. So the longer they allow it to go on, they sold 1.7 million shares yesterday. They want to keep playing. They lose everything. Go ask the people at Credit Suisse how that worked out.
If they follow the proper process, is there some sort of insurance or coverage that would keep them open? Or, in other words, is this why they're delaying enforcing the call? Because they're signing their own extinction.
Well, they've been doing it. Listen, they've been right for so long, letting these guys rob everybody. You know, all you ever see is in Lynn's accounts is, hey, you know, we raised another, $40 million, making all these sales, and we covered because we have a debenture, and that's how they've been. But there's no debenture here. They're exposed. Listen, if you were helping the company, would you be screaming and worried about a short squeeze in the stock? That's all you need to know.
Well, if something you just said about Jeffries, and then there's a question. Hang on, let me just look. Oh, that's what I was going to say, and this gentleman asks as well. Jeffries is different than Alpine. It's not. Alpine was almost in collusion with Power Up Lending.
Alpine is in collusion. They're part of the crime family. Jeffries is allowing these guys to do it. I'm sure they're hiding a lot of stuff in different places. But Jeffries is, Lynn Partners is very different than the Kramers in that crew. Those guys, as you can see, they're just hiding, they're lying, you name it, they all got busted. Lynn Partners is eventually going to say, hey, we have no more money, and they're going to take it on the chin. They're like, was it Merlin Capital? They're like that.
Except no one's going to rescue them. They don't have enough brain. There's no
one's
talent there
them.
to rescue.
Listen, no, they rescued Merlin only if he took his lump of, losing $8 billion.
And they could make money on that stock. There's no way to make money on Finger now.
There's no money, right? That's correct. So no one's going to give these guys any money. So, again, they sold $1 million something yesterday. And hold on a second.
They're saying it's Melvin.
$6.31 was the average price of all the sales yesterday. Where did we get to today? $6.30. It was $6.31 is yesterday's.
Hey, so they made a penny.
Excuse me?
They made a penny.
I'm just saying $6.31 is the average on all the naked shorts of yesterday. So we got today to $6.30. So we were 1 penny short. So again, if it goes to 632, that means the 1.7 million they sold yesterday would be underwater. 1.657.
Would you exercise options?
There's no reason to exercise. You're in the money. Just sell them.
That's right.
Just sell them. If you sell them, why would you want to?
You already have the profit. Why put up more money to have the same profit?
Right.
Can you talk about GTII and maybe catalysts, or how do you see it trading? Is it a different time now than a couple of weeks ago? Anything you got to say about GTII?
GTI, the accumulation is here. We're not going away. It's 400 million shares short. We know the criminals. We have the proof. And it's just a matter of when it's going to take off. That's it. Listen, we're not letting them go. I'm not here to jam it to go from $1.06 to $1.40 so you can trade it. So don't even ask me about that. We're accumulating it. There's smart people accumulating it. When Finger goes, we'll have 10 times the money to buy more GTII.
I think I read that Wolf just hit 395, so that means those orders must have gone off.
They're selling them. There it is, 397. There you go.
And to think,
I'm on the phone with you, so I can't possibly ask anybody what they're doing. But again, that's where you make your own decisions. These guys will be, when it goes, it'll come in and you'll start seeing bids and they'll take it out. That's it.
Well,
where they take it to, they could buy it smart, they could buy it crazy. That's what they do.
Will Finger and maybe even Wolf, will these, if one of these is running, will it have a ripple effect on the other stocks that have been under pressure?
If Wolf goes, will it on the pressure?
Wolf or Finger, or if one of them goes, will it have a ripple effect?
The Wolf money is going into GTII. I told you that.
Right.
The Finger motion, when that goes, is going to GTII. So we're converging all our troops into one stock. So, that's the battle plan. All right. We're going to, Finger motion has tremendous fundamentals. Finger motion will expose the Lynn Partners on Monday. We'll expose the Kramers. We'll expose everything that could possibly force this issue here. All right. So again, what's the catalyst? I think the catalyst happened the other day. I told you the ownership is completely owned. These guys are playing with. This has got the same pattern as Volkswagen with the ownership. That's what I see in Finger.
The endless question. What do you think about DBMM?
I don't know the history of what actually happened with the Kramers. For those who don't know, Dog Boy Mary was attacked by the Kramers. They had a toxic debt. The CEO is a woman. She's outstanding. I spoke with her. She's the one that gave us the scoop that Alpine was their prime broker. I just don't know what the hell happened to the stock, and I didn't get back I don't have the history, so I can't really.
And that's a chance to explain why you're so confident with Finger and GTII. You've been able to watch it, study it.
Oh, not watch it. Studied every move on it. We didn't watch it. We studied everything. We documented it. We talked about people. We had conference calls 7 days a week with 50 people on it, and GTII 20 people. You know, I had that cheap-ass baker from Long Island. We had the, Dirty Mayo, the Crayon Eater. Optimuse has always been around. And we've had a bunch of people that have studied it. They all understand it from the beginning, and that's how we all spoke about it and worked on it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we morphed into Finger Motion, and then Lynn Partners was nice enough to come in here and try to destroy everything that the company's doing. And, they're destroying it and acting like they're angels with dirty faces. They're criminals. They belong in jail. And we're not going to let them go. Whatever it is, we're not letting them go. And you can see it, here it is. They're coming down at 606, offering the 2,500 shares, trying to mark it down. At the end of the day, again, they live for pennies. Just remember that. They're doing everything they can and try to push it down for one reason, margin. I told you before, if I was in charge of this short, I would have the stock at $15 and then slaughter everybody. But they can't let it go up. They do not have the money. And that's why you keep seeing the downward pressure. It's always downward pressure on all these stocks. Downward, sell it down, sell it down, sell it down. That's all you ever get. All right? That's the game.
One of the, I don't even know what OG stands for, but one of the OGs in GTII, Slider, is on. He's just saying hi to you. If Finger has begun the squeeze and it takes 3 weeks, how does it run according to your experience?
So the floodgate's going to open up. They're going to get called to deliver stock. Someone's going to force them with a margin call. This thing is $6 still. It's not exactly, it's gone up a lot. So there's definitely margin problems behind it. There they are. They're marking it down already. Listen, they're marking it down so you can all watch it in real time for them to try to save a penny. That's all they're trying to do. Listen, again, you could see how they attack it. They keep coming at it, and that's what they do. Don't ask me why. They want. Just remember, who wants less all the time? My car's worth $30,000, but I'll sell it to you, William, for $1 because you're a good guy. That's what they're doing. That's equivalent to what they're doing. Hurry up, sell it, offer it lower. Now there's 1,800 shares, offered at $6. All it is to discourage people and try to get a panic. There's nothing else. You could see it.
There's so many people putting their own. The gentleman wants to buy his father a new roof for his house. These shorts feel like it's their right just to take this money, ship it offshore, don't pay taxes for some reason, but it really hurts real people. Real Americans get destroyed by it. And
well, that's why I keep trying to tell everyone, you don't have to buy the stock. You need to understand it. You need to tell someone, look at what's going on here. Take your money out of the equity markets. You think it's a joke. Your neighbor's going to have a great call. Oh, my friend works for this cancer company. You're going to buy it. You're going to go all in. You're going to say, I got the great. It's going to be for the cure for cancer. In 2 years, you'll be calling me back. I lost everything. That's what happens.
Somebody's asking, what if the earnings are next week instead of this week? I don't think it matters in terms of how the stock runs. Don't worry about it.
Next week, Monday, enjoy Monday. That's all you need to know. We'll get the slides done. You'll see them up on Twitter all weekend. We will take care of it. We're calling the police. We're at their door. We're not doing this quietly. If you're new to us, we stand at your door. Look at the photos we posted on Twitter. They're brutal. If you were a criminal, would you want your face at the front door of the regulators, of the police? Think about that. These guys, their faces, all of them, everyone in their
They're all
organization,
narcissists anyway.
their faces are going to be at the front door of the SEC on videotape. Everyone's going to see them. Every building in D.C. has cameras recording, and they want to know what the hell's going on outside their door. All right? And no one has done what we've done at the SEC. For 3 years, we've been putting the truck out there. They know about the Kramers, and they know about Lynn. When did they arrest them? That's not my job. I don't know. I can't. We went to the FBI. We've called everybody, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. What else? Who are we supposed to call?
So
Right?
no, you can go on. I thought you were.
I'm just stuttering and I'm just babbling.
The one person's asking, the market makers continued to take orders from Lind, and they allow them to sell. The supply seems unlimited.
They could be selling stock back and forth into new accounts. That you understand that it's a big shell game. They're selling the same stock back and around, and they just keep doing it. They just want to mark it down. Here it is. We're down 4 cents now. Hurry up, mark it down. It's near the end of the day. That's all they're trying to do.
They're trying to get it to close in the red on the day is what they're doing now.
That's what they're trying to do. But listen, again, we can't stop it. We're watching it. People accumulating when they sell it. They buy it cheaper. That's what they're doing.
Right.
They're just trying to get you to panic, and we're sitting there telling them, keep trying, keep doing it. We're going to get you. Monday, we're going to, yeah. If the earnings come out tomorrow, you have to deal with that. A company that's growing like a weed, you want to keep playing games? Look what happened in the video. The company was growing like a weed. They all got roasted for 150 points. All those guys lost they probably lost $10 billion in the video on the short side. Okay? That's what happens. And they carry them out all the time. Believe me, if you don't think that short sellers get carried out, they get carried out all the time. And when you're short and you're wrong, they're jumping in front of trains. That's how devastating it is on the short side when you're wrong. Remember, the short side has infinite liability on the upside. Infinite. Unlimited. Use whatever word you want to.
Is this going to be another AMC? What's the chance of that happening?
We hope it's another AMC. It went to $77. We all hope it goes to AMC. It went to $77. If you didn't sell it, shame on you. $77. That's like hitting the lottery. If I own a stock at 5 and it goes to 77.
Inverse head and shoulder.
Same thing with GameStop. I feel bad every time I watch these stupid these shows. They always talk about the GameStop people that held on and are crying. It went to 500. What were you, in a coma? Where did you want it to go to? 599? If you didn't take profit out of it, shame on you.
That sounds like a lecture.
If you ever heard me speak, I always say, never turn a winning trade into a losing trade. That's how we were taught. So as it starts to run, you make small sales all the ways up, and you have your money off the table. You may not win, but you won't lose if you do it that way. All right? That's the most important thing. Not everything is guaranteed, so you need to always remove and get your initial investment off so that you don't have to hear, I don't want to hear that you have to sell your house, you can't afford to do this or do that because of stupidity. There's no mercy in this game. These are criminals we're going against. All right? When you get your opportunity, when you get your GameStop, AMC, EDTX, you need to profit. The name of the game is profit. Live for the next day. Get your money off the table. I've called people up and I told them do that.
If somebody makes the point, and it's true, I always say I'm not interested in diamond hands. One of the things that happened to AMC is this baloney about diamond hands. Trade it. Trade a part of it. Get
Listen,
out.
you can trade an option. You can trade a stock. You can do anything. Do not stand there like the Statue of Liberty. All right? I told you, my friend, she only trades Apple. That's it. She doesn't do any other stock, just Apple. So that's what a fund does. They trade their positions. Stock runs up. They sell 1 million shares. The stock pulls back. She buys it back. If she buys it back down a penny, and she makes a penny on 1 million shares, that is profit for the fund, and it reduces their cost of their core holdings. That's how that game is played. All right. So again, if the earnings are coming out tomorrow, someone just texted me. They said it's coming out tomorrow. So again, maybe tomorrow we get it in the video moment. I don't know. Hopefully so. And the stock jumps up $100. Wouldn't that be great?
I think it's important. I think the Lynn Partners will try to confuse everybody by selling it off when the news comes out. But I think if any revenue number is higher or meets the projections that you can see on the videos and conference calls, this stock is going to go higher, and it's a good earnings report. So
listen, just go watch the CEO. He tells you what's going on in the company. They're very easy to listen to, and he tells you exactly what's going on. It's right there. Just go watch it and just follow the bouncing ball. We study naked shorts, and you can see it was just offered at 6. They offered at 596. Why is it right around 596? Because they want to make sure they're closing red for us today. They want us to get upset. I'm not upset. I know we're going to rip their heads off next week, and I can't wait to do it.
Well,
just remember, when it goes to 7, they get the body bags, because that's the end of the rope for these guys.
Well, they're living on fumes right now.
No, they're on fumes right now. Obviously, we know that. 631 at 631, every share they sold yesterday is underwater. Just when you're following this game, just think like that. Say, hey, these guys showed us the data. It's 1.6 million shares. Its average price is 631 on that bloodbath of yesterday, right?
Right.
Let me just look here for a second. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I can't move this fast. Let's see what they did today. I'm sorry.
KYP is loving hearing that.
All right. The average price today for our wonderful short sellers who are just selling counterfeit shares, their average price of selling counterfeit shares today is $5.62. How's that? Who could be that stupid to lose that much money selling counterfeit shares today?
Well, Jeff Easton's a genius.
Right.
That guy's got talent. Nobody, I don't think any firm on Wall Street would hire him. But so when this goes down, I don't know where he's going to go. If your only talent is getting gullible CEOs to sign a trap as a contract, that's not much of a talent.
There is no talent. I told you that 1,000 times. They have an office someplace. There's no way they're doing this. Those 4 bozos that we have in the photo have an office of a trading desk. They're doing this outside of Lynn's office. They have a trading operation. Who the hell knows what country, where they're doing it from. For all I know, they're doing it from Central America. I don't know where they're doing it from, but those idiots can't do it. They're obviously, we talked about it. They just get the CEOs to sign the paper, and then they just start robbing people. That's what they do. They pass the sheet over to somebody else. Here's another sucker. Go rob all you can. That's what they do.
Everyone's so impatient. This generation is everything has to be instantaneous. But this question answers itself. Why don't the big dollars? Why don't they pin the stock at $10 if Lind is on fumes?
Because they're here to get as much cheap stock as possible. They're not here to help us. They're not my friends. They're not your friends. Everyone on Wall Street is in business for themselves, right? I'm here to make money for me and my family, and you know what? That's how it works. The big funds are here to make money for them and their funds. So they need to accumulate as much as they can at the prices that help them, not us. You can obviously see someone's accumulating every share that's being sold. They keep playing and they keep taking it, right?
Well, maybe the so-called big money will make sure it closes over 6.
Well, I told you there's big money around. They're not fooling around. They want to keep playing. They keep selling it to them. Today is 6. Tomorrow the level may be 9. I don't know. This is how it goes. The whole thing is guessing. We can't stop the fraud. These guys, but we are accumulating it, and that's how you break them. Accumulation, if the SEC is listening, is how you break their back. Just keep sucking up all the shares. We don't need to spike it. If it closes at 650 today, doesn't mean anything to me. The positive mark doesn't change my pickleball game today. Hey, my positions are marked up today. I'm a winner. No, life goes on.
Ona Jabeur won today, by the way. Ona Jabeur won today.
Okay.
I bet you couldn't beat her in pickleball.
No. I watched the girl last night. She was fantastic. I don't know who she was. I told you. She hit the ball so hard. It was just amazing. I couldn't believe how hard she hit it. But anyway, again, the mark is for these guys. They can't stand it when it's in the green. It's the same. Just understand the patterns. That's all. It's just the whole thing is a pattern. That's all.
Are they using dark pools against us?
No. I don't. I believe these orders are coming straight from Lynn Partners. Their trading desk, is calling the shots. Lynn's saying, "Hey, we need stock here today." No, do that. That's how it's orchestrated.
R.C. LaBelle sounds like me almost. Watching this since 6 a.m. and now there's some 50K, 17K buyers in fingers, so that's interesting.
Listen, it's a tough day. It's a long day. Again, I can't stop the fraud. We can only educate, which we have. Oh, look at them. They're beating up GTII. They beat it up to the close. Hey,
well, I see 615 afterward.
Oh, in the stock?
Yeah.
Again, this whole thing is a complete disgrace. I can't.
Well, even Gensler admitted that 90% of trades don't have a real bid and ask. I mean, I don't know what kind of sham people are willing to be a part of. Anyway.
All I ask is everybody who's paying attention, just retweet, take the time, call the SEC, make a complaint. They don't bite you. Tell them your story, because they're going to steal your money. They're going to steal your pension. You know what? If your pension you thought was worth $500,000, by the time you get it, it'll be worth $200,000. And when you're ready to retire, you're going to say, "Where'd all my money go?" Then you're going to sit there and say, "This crazy guy from New York who's been yapping and I've been listening to, in 10 years you're going to say, oh my God, I should have said something." That's what they're doing.
On that thought, they're going to say, "Oh, Ham was right." I'll speak for myself, not for you. I'd rather people on this call saved their money and changed the system than Ham being right.
Listen, I'm here to help. Listen, I don't care if you invest in the stock or not. If you are invested, understand that's why we talk about it. But if you don't do something or speak up, and this doesn't stop, okay? For Charlie Payne to be yelling about it, he knows how bad it is.
Yep.
100% Charlie knows. I know Charlie Payne very well, and he knows for sure that this is a major problem. All right? So for him to speak up and throw his hat, he has a tremendous job, tremendous career. For him to speak up for the MMTL people and speak about Gensler doing his job, that says a lot. People, if you look at it, look at that moron Matt Levine from Bloomberg. Naked short selling is make believe. The next day, the guy gets caught for naked short selling. I mean, that just shows you how the press is controlled. Pat Burns always said it. The press is controlled by the criminals.
Yep. Absolutely. BlackRock apparently controls.
The only
Google.
person we have is Frankie Nez, who's doing a great job. He reports on it every day. Disney Brands, William, Anna, and everybody else here, that's trying to help out. Everyone on Twitter, Dozer, even though I hate him as an LSU fan, Big RJ, Big whatever, Ace, all these people, Dirty Mayo, not the crying Baker, forget that guy. But again, all these people have helped out. They all do their part.
I think
Ned Starks, everybody.
I think Drew Diligence has been a fighter for this cause
Yes,
as well.
I mean, there's so many pronounced. Still Albie, this guy, I can't remember everybody's name. Remember, people, I am a numbers guy. I remember numbers. Everybody, when I meet you in the street, I'm just going to say, hey, you, because I'll forget your name.
You do. You are amazing at your ability to sort of memorize trades and volumes and prices.
That's what I was trained to do. I can't remember anything else but those things. I can remember them, all of them, from years.
Because you would have lost your job, your preferred spot on the trading desk.
If you didn't know it, right?
They'd move you closer to the elevator.
If you don't know what's going on, when your boss yells at you, hey, what's this? You got to know it like that. There's no guessing. You better have the answers. I told you the VWAP was at 562. With the stock close at 605.
602, and it's now trading at 615. No, 699 on the after hours. Up a smacker on the after hours.
Come on.
Up 97 cents. That's what I'm showing. But the ask isn't that high, so it's a confusing trade. But I show 699. Are you out of your mind?
Well, you can go out there if you want to torture them. You go out there, buy 100 shares in the aftermarket.
Can you lend me the money?
Yeah, just flush it out. We just mail it to them. You can just mail it to Lynn.
Yeah, let's just buy. We'll tell them we'll pay him in 31 days.
But again, that's what it is. You understand it. Again, I'm just trying to help you, but we're not going away. We're going to get them tomorrow. We're going to get them Monday.
Somebody asked you a while ago, and I can't. I only wrote down the name Yorkville. I can't remember the exact phrase, but it was basically, was Wolf subject to the same sort of shenanigans as these guys? Who is their toxic lender? And I wrote down Yorkville.
The toxic lender is Yorkville. They paid it off. Okay. I met the company. I tried to get the company to do some crazy stuff. They wanted to build it through what they're doing. As you can see, these guys are monster. They are the best at this game. Mara, Riot, these guys they're tied to nuclear power plants, so they got the cheapest price than everybody else. Bitcoin mining is about the power source. That's what it's about. And they are the best at it. There you go. And they paid off the debt.
Good. That's good. So everyone's confirming that it hit 699, so it's not just me seeing that. And something is brewing. No kidding.
Listen, again, the shenanigans, this after hours trading, I can't track down these hooligans, but at the end of the day, what they sell, they can't hide it all forever. The number is getting too massive. The criminals in GTII, I don't know who's attacking it, what they're doing, what their motive is. But again, pushing it lower, where's it going? All of a sudden, the stock was $137 yesterday, and they're selling it down to $1.02. Someone, Alpine, somewhere in that camp, someone has got a problem that if that ticks up, they get more exposure from the DTC and that SEC and FINRA lawsuits against Alpine. They're trying to hide that mess. It's not going to last too long. They're going to get caught there too. So
well, you're better at arithmetic than I am, but from 150 to 650 is $5 times 150 million. I think that's $750 million change in fortune for Jeff Easton and Co.
Just forget all that stuff. Forget that number. Every share they sell, Jeffries requires margin. If the stock is $6, Jeffries is not going to say, hey, put up $1 a share. Jeffries is going to say, we need $10 a share. Because if the stock goes past 10, like EDTX, if you were short that stock at $14, your prime broker probably said, hey, you're short 1 million shares of this stock. You got to put up $10 a share. So the prime broker has your short sale money, let's say it's $14, plus $10. The prime broker is covered to $24, correct? Once it goes past 24, the prime broker is on the hook. There's no more margin. All the money's gone. So the prime broker says, screw you, buy it in. Same thing is going to happen here with Lynn. The stock is $6. Every share, 1.6 million times $10 has to be put up, either cash or a treasury, to back up these trades. Forget the loss. That's something else.
Just in general, Jeffries is what size of a prime broker vis-a-vis Alpine or Goldman Sachs? I mean, Alpine
is like us being a prime broker. They're just criminals.
Right.
I don't know how they broke into the system, but they were in. That's the highest level of, you get approval in a prime broker. It's like you put a bank robber in a bank. That's what Alpine is. You put a crook inside the DTC system, and that whatever his name is, John Hurry. And,
John and Justine Hurry.
Look how it wound up. The DTC, the SEC, FINRA all got screwed. John Hurry and his wife have houses, mansions all over the place, money hidden probably in the Cayman Islands, and now the DTC, and all they have to do these people is try to scurry and hide their assets, I guess. Is that why they're dragging it on? And they're going to walk away from everything. They're going to file bankruptcy.
So,
and they're all stuck.
How big is Jeffries? And wouldn't Jeffries want to protect its own franchise rather than protecting Lind Partners?
Jeffries is going to protect their own franchise versus Lind. Yes.
Yeah.
When do they do it? I don't know, but they will.
Now that Wes is on MULN, what do you think of MULN now?
The whole thing with MULN is their financing. I have no idea what they're doing. Listen, you can't build cars with no money. So obviously that's the problem.
It's like buying the best house in the world, but if you have a crappy mortgage, you're going to lose the house.
That's the way I want to look at it. But again, he needs money to build cars. So he's in a business that he has to build a $50,000 car, right, and sell it for $60,000. Okay, how much money is it going to cost him to build it? Then add the advertising, all the other expenses to deliver that car to. At the end of the day, after paying all his employees, blah 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 blah, what's he going to make? $5,000, $4,000 a car. So he needs all that money, even though his cars may be great. I am hearing they're great. I don't know anything about it. But again, at the end of the day, it comes down to money. He needs the money to build it. He needs to get that money so he can start building these cars. Like Elon Musk fought through it. They tried to knock him out of business, right? $25. The New York Times put up the fake story back in the days. And, so that's, listen, if he didn't make it to then, look, we wouldn't have him around today. He wouldn't own Twitter.
So
right? Look at all he's done.
I barely remember
Listen, I'm going to tell you this.
What?
When this all works out, you're
Don't
never
ever
going to
call
get
you
anything
again?
There's never going to be any good inventions coming out of me. I'm a complete idiot. All I know is numbers.
You're going to be sitting in a home in 30 years mumbling.
I'm still trying to figure out how to keep the pickleball score. I forget it all the time.
You're going to be doing shuffleboard by then. You'd be mumbling about open interest and shorts. And
Yeah, the people are going to be, oh my God, God forbid you had to be put in a nursing home with me. People will be jumping out of the windows. Buy the stock.
so everyone's asking about XRP. I don't know any. It's a crypto. It's an alternative to dollar.
Jeremy Hogan, follow him. He's excellent. I met him and his wife in Orlando. Great people. He's done this stock. Jeremy Hogan is an attorney, and he's been in that fight for a long time. Great guy. Follow him.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add there. I guess Lou's putting out a lot of videos on it. So anyway, everyone, I suggest, since Finger seems to be on the verge and the setup is right there, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but everything's there. All the ingredients for the cake to rise. Don't get distracted. At least have an attention span for the next month. And then you make life-changing money. My mother always told me, succeed on one thing, and then you can diversify in all your other interess.
Listen, it's tough it's like we're in a kid's amusement park with that weasel game, with that little thing you have to hammer. You got to hammer the weasel. We don't know which weasel's going to pop out.
Right.
And Lynn's head is out there now, so we might as well whack him, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll step into and take care of GTII.
And then you can buy, instead of moving the same money quickly from 1 to 1 to 1, you'll have enough to buy a little bit of 10 and cash.
Listen, you can pick your own poison, do whatever you like. I just told you, we're not going away. We've been here for years. I don't think you're going to find a group of people that study certain stocks. Think about it. If you had the analyst who was the top analyst on the street in Apple, everyone on his phone would be sitting with their hands saying, "Talk to me. What's happening next?" And he can't predict the daily moves in the stock, but at the end of the day, he can predict what's going to happen in the next 2 years based on the technology. How do I know that? Because I used to listen to those stupid analysts tell those stories all day. I had to listen to things like that. All right? But that's what these guys are good for. An analyst can't, and there's no analyst on the street that's going to come out there and say, "Hey, go buy XYZ. It's going to go up $2 today because it looks like it's breaking out because of Arca or Ace put out a video saying it hit its, triple bottom," whatever the hell you want to call it. They don't do that. They follow trends. They look at the channel checks, they look at the technology, and that's how an analyst works. Trying to pick the intraday movements on stocks is not an easy thing to do. I actually happen to be very good at it, but it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, what you've said for so long, it's like real estate. Buy when there's blood in the streets. I mean, you accumulate when no one's really wanting it. That's when the calls are cheap. Same with puts.
Well, just look at GTII. At 82 cents, 83 cents, I always had friends buying it, turned around, boom, it was 137. That's, think about that. It's like they're buying a stock at $80, selling it at $137. Just do the math on Lynn. With a stock at $1.50, just make it $11.50. Just change the numbers. It went to $7. It's doing the same thing, the same percentage as EDTX. EDX was 14, went to 80. If you just change the numbers, it's the same thing. It went from $11.50, $11.50, right? And it went to, $7 or $70. It's a big numbers. These are massive numbers.
The Lynn partners and the Kramers are forked, says Craig Dubs.
I agree with you, Craig, and that's why, hey, go watch The Good Life, the Good Place. That's where I got all that from. Instead of cursing, let's use their language. It's a great show on Netflix.
Well, with Dama, what was that, Battleship Galactica? They used to say fracked. Frack you, fracked.
Anyway, listen, everyone, have a good night. I'm going to go play some pickleball and take out my frustrations on some 80-year-old man tonight. I'm going to go nail him. I'm going to knock his cane out.
All right. Well, everyone
Everyone have a
extends
great
the
night,
best.
and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Ham.
All right.
I look. Yes, there will be other plays after this, but I really emphasize one of the things I got so upset about, and apparently one of the guys is mad that I pointed out the obvious as if it didn't happen, but it did happen. And I'm not trying to pick on any one person, but in November of last year, in my judgment, and I could be wrong, GTII was ready to blast off. Fidelity was paying 1,000% to borrow shares. And I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to go any further with my description because apparently that bugs somebody personally. But it's a matter of fact and a matter of record that all of our group almost simultaneously seemed to say, hey, we should get out of GTI and go over there. And it took the air out of the balloon. They opened the oven door before the bread was baked. And that's just a fact. I mean, if this person wants me to behave like the mainstream media and pretend it didn't happen, it did happen. But I'm not gonna focus on the personalities. It's just what happened. And now, all of a sudden, people, you, me, we have a little green in our account, and we're getting fascinated by all the other plays we should be in. I'm not saying you shouldn't study other plays, and I'm not saying you shouldn't put money in other ones. I think Lou's been recommending, for example, this XRP for a long, long time, and his rationale has been excellent on it. I listened in the past. I listened to his videos on it. But if you can just maintain your focus, the squeeze hasn't begun in Finger. Of course, it may never happen, but I think it will. You've got a huge buyer. You've got a huge naked short position, or maybe it's smaller. You've got to always in your back of a head acknowledge that this wise Wall Street hand who worked at the American Stock Exchange, he doesn't believe there's anywhere near 150 million shares short. So you got to keep that in the back of your head that there are people out there that don't believe it and say it's impossible, that should know what they're talking about. But my view is that Ham has been watching it every single day. There hasn't been shares, have not been shares available. There are private placements which have shares coming free to trade. But the question is, where are those shares? Are they in the top drawer at someone's office, or are they in a brokerage firm? There's no way to know for sure. But I've heard they're in people's coat pockets. It'll take a month or two to get that into the system. But anyway, Finger, you've got their business plan is working. They've got 6 pistons at least in their engine, and they're firing on all of those 6. Maybe there's maybe 2 were not working, but the fundamentals are amazing. They have cash. They can take advantage of buying discounted minutes and selling them to the largest mobile phone market in the world at a discount, and do it over and 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 over again. And the revenues just grow, and the amount of money just grows that they have. So if you want to get distracted and rush over to other things, I mean, it's your money. But I strongly suggest that if you can just possibly wait and see if this squeeze occurs in finger, it may set up squeezes in everything else. And I'm not telling you that GTII won't squeeze. I'm not telling you these other stocks won't squeeze. But just looking at this one that Ham brought up today, EDTX, I don't even know what it is. It goes from $14 to $80 in a day. Imagine if you were just sitting there in finger on the one day that happened. And it looks like that day might be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know if it is for sure. We're trying to read tea leaves. Tom Ronk is saying the buy-ins have already begun. It'll be a 3-week process. We know there's whales buying. We know there's revenues and earnings coming out, but based on the company's own projections and conference calls, that those should be good numbers. We know there's a large trap short. We've studied it every single day, and it finally seems to be the time. I don't know why that would be the moment everyone should start focusing on other stocks. But you may be different than I am. Get one to work. Turn $10,000 into $100,000 or more. Then you have 10 times, 20 times the money you started with. Then you can go back and buy everything to your heart's content. But take cash off the table. Take money off the table. These are pieces of paper. When it's green, it's not money. It's only money when you sell it. And even the money you transfer it into, by the way, it's all Trump's fault. I mean, it's amazing how he set it up so that everything in our economy would go bad and the dollar's value would fall and our debt would skyrocket. And the way Trump set us up in war in the Ukraine, I can't believe it. And apparently Trump's allowing China to build a base in Cuba and potentially put pressure on the chip manufacturers in Taiwan. I can't believe we ever allowed a man like Trump to be president. And we might pay the price of that if we continue to think that money is what's in your bank account or what's in your brokerage account. I'm not sure it's going to be that way much anymore. Or maybe that's part of your wealth. But if you make profits here, do something with it. My priorities would be debt, food, shelter, food and water, shelter, know your neighbors, health, and then possibly gold and silver, but also how about investments that give cash flow, that cash flow that will survive a financial panic, because a panic won't last longer than a tornado or a hurricane. And afterwards, people will come out of their basements, look at the damage. Some will have no food, no silver, they won't own an oil well in California that's still pumping and still spitting out a product that people want, whatever the currency is. Some people come out and go, oh my gosh, I lost everything. I want you to be that person that comes out of the financial panic that will come. I don't know if it'll be this year or 10 years, but it will come. I want you to come out with your own resources that makes you resilient, makes you independent, and allows you to look out for your family and friends and yourself. But please, I don't know why, just as we get a sniff that finger's going to squeeze, we're going to get distracted by, hey, did you see Lou's new video? Did you see DBMM? Did you see whatever? I'm trying to remember all the ones you just told me. I'm quoting the things I read just here tonight. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. That's fine. Study it. Be ready. If you own calls in Finger, maybe you take a bit of a profit and roll up in your calls. Maybe you buy some of that stuff. I'm not saying don't do what other people are suggesting. I'm just saying that Finger is a possibility right now of a stock that's finally, we have the shorts where we want them. And just picking 628 as the breakout. When I studied shorts before 3-4 years ago, I thought I did a video, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just told everyone I was talking to on the phone. The minimum squeeze, I think there was one at 8.5 to my memory. But basically the minimum squeeze from the breakout was 10x. The minimum was 10x. So from here at 628, that's $62. That's in a spike. I'm not saying you're going to get everything off at $62. That was the minimum. Many, I would say 70-80% of them went 20-30 times for sure. Well, from here, 20 times 6, well, 30, it's $120, $180 in a spike. Many went 50 times, 100 times, even 1,000 times. And the higher the percentage, it was fewer that did it. But I'm not saying hold on for the spike. I'm saying that if you put your GTC orders out there, the spike will come in and take them all out. And don't worry if you left something on the table. You've got to give the buyer a reason to buy, and you got to get out while there's volume. Otherwise, if you wait too long, it becomes a quicksand again. So anyway, I'm not trying to be hard on anybody. I really do think Lou's idea on XRP it's not like he's just come up with it. He's talked, or was it XRP or XPL? Anyway, the one that was an alternative as a payment system, I think he was spot on 2 years ago, and I think he probably still is. But even if you run the risk of missing out on the investment that you've been looking at, and you've been waiting to roll your money from GTII or Finger or some other stock into, I think right now is the time to just say, I can't look at that. If it goes, it goes. I knew it. As soon as this one took so long, I'm not going to have a chance to invest in that. There will be other investment opportunities. That's the amazing thing about the markets. There's always, it's like my friend at one of the brokerage firms said, if you want a haircut, hang around the barber shop. And if you miss one train, there'll be another train coming. He was talking about girlfriends, but it applies to investment opportunities. So we're at 616 on Finger. I know I missed a bunch of questions. I'll look at them. I'm not trying to be hard on anybody. I just don't want a repeat of what happened with GTII in Thanksgiving time to happen here again. But if it does, it does. I mean, I can't control it. But in a way, we kind of control our own future here a little bit. And if you can take your grub stake and multiply it by 10 times or 20 times in Finger, if it works, then you have that money. And then you can go back and do everything that's on your list and still keep some cash T-bills would make sense, by the way, because we live here. The dollar's always going to be able to buy whatever's for sale in the United States. BTX squeezed from 80 cents to 96 in 2 days. Somebody's up 1,000% on... I will say it for you. Who bought Arca his computer system? I'm not going to read it out loud. GTII will only squeeze if finger squeezes. They've been no... Oh, thank you, Aaron S. Ambrose. I'll finish it because I'm not afraid of negativity. They have been no revenue, etc. I've been holding for 2.5 years, and they continue to short sell without any consequences. Finger money to GTI. Yeah, I agree with that, Aaron. XRP is a big play. I agree with that. Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon. So Big Al, Alabama. Anyone that quotes that song, I know how old they are. Well, Eric from Texas, just you got to dance with the one that brung you for a little while anywhere. Well, trust me, bro. Oh Lord, my videos are now about finger instead about GTII. You know, trust me, bro. I would point out to you on the top of every one of my videos, the name finger, the name GTII, and MMTLP have appeared, unless I forgot to put it up. But those are the three that I've focused on. There are times when I didn't think highlighting a stock like Finger made sense. After everyone ran to that other stock in Thanksgiving, Finger also went down. And then it was on its back. And I remember saying that GTII had a heart attack and it was going to take a while to get off of its back. And I started talking a bit about MMTLP, although I think I only talked about it for about 3 days before it stopped trading. And then I talked about it quite a bit. If you want me, I'll tell you what I'll do, my Mo bro. Maybe what I should do next live, I'm not going to talk about Finger. And I'm not going to talk about any of the other stocks that interest you. I'm only going to talk about GTII, just for you. And we won't talk about Finger. I think that's the best way to handle your objection. That way, the money being made in Finger can be made elsewhere, not with us. We'll just hold diamond hands our story in GTII and then MMTLP, and then I won't have long videos on Finger at all. That's how I can answer your objection. I will tell you that I think only an idiot doesn't recognize that if the stock is about to move, you put your toes in, you buy a little bit, and if Finger goes, guess what? You can take that money from Finger and put it in GTII. And then my videos can be 8 hours on GTII. I think GTII and Finger are going to run at the exact same time. Exact same time. Yeah, I forget his name. He can start his own YouTube channel. I'll listen to it if it's good. I'm not going to do that. The reason I'm talking about Finger right now is my instinct is finger is where you can make money. I'm not telling you to get out of GTII. I'm not telling you to get out of any of the others. I have suggested from time to time that it would make sense to make a tax loss trade out of AMC or GME, because sitting right at your feet, the only reason to hold on to those diamond hands is you want to take advantage of a squeeze. Well, sitting on right at your feet are a couple of stories that could squeeze. And I have no idea. Maybe XRP can squeeze. I'd be careful of that run up in XRP, chasing it. If you want to buy more, I don't even know where it is. Buy a bit if you don't own it, but then put some orders to buy under the market, because usually I don't know how crypto trades, but stocks, after good news, it runs up and then they bring it back down. Finger is a great story, but you can make money in Finger, even if I don't know. If you have no cash, maybe you sell 5%. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just using it as an example. All right, I don't have any cash. I want to sell 5% of my GTII, and I'm gonna play it and see. And then, and I'm not saying that because right now I think GTII is headed to $1.90, $2. And I don't know. I forget the gentleman's name. Keb Mo. There's, in talking about Finger, which I didn't do for quite a while, although I did it before, there's also been a learning curve on puts and calls and all of that. So my emphasis right now on Finger is because I think Finger is about to explode. 150 million shares naked that have to be covered. Maybe it's less. Jeffries in trouble. But Jeffries is not Alpine. Jeffries is a real prime broker. They're kind of on the edge of respectability, but they've built up their reputation over the time that I've been gone. So they don't want to take the risk for Lind. They're going to buy him in if they have to. You've got these doofuses at Lind Partners trading like morons, in my judgment. And you've got all the fundamentals working for you in Finger. And we have whales in here. Somebody's been buying. Whoever that was, Keb Mo Bro, it isn't you. It isn't Lou. It isn't me. It isn't Ham. Who's moving the stock of Finger up? It isn't. I love that everybody's buying. They've 500 shares here, 1,000 shares here, and some bigger orders. But that's not what's moving the stock. Somebody's been in there buying. Somebody. And so, am I going to be right? I have no idea, Mo Bro Brown. All I know is it looks like it's about to go. Your strategy, implied strategy, is just hold on to one, stick to the one until it moves, like everyone's done in GME and AMC. Well, I think every single day is really hard to do. For example, I owned some of the Finger calls. I got to check my list. The threes for July. 2 days ago, I could have sold them at $4. And then this morning, I was gonna. Or sorry, the day before, whatever the time frame is. I was holding out for 5. I could have sold them at 4. And then they went down below 3. And I could just diamond hand it. But each day the market is presenting your new opportunity. The hardest thing to do, and it is for me, I'm telling you, the hardest thing for me to do is to ignore woulda, coulda, shouldas. I do that a lot in my life. But with stocks, there's a song by George Jones where he's the cold, hard truth. You just got to look at the cold, hard truth. Right now, those calls, I'm not thinking about $5 anymore. I'm not thinking about $4 anymore. I'm thinking about $3. Why? Because that's what the evidence is in front of me. I'll see how it trades tomorrow. But you in the stock market, what happened yesterday just doesn't matter. The fact that AMC was $70 and you could have sold and now it's $4 and it there's still a lot short. Well, you got to understand there was a perfect storm in AMC and GME. That's not there anymore. There's no reason to hold on. Well, if you have no other ideas to go into, then okay. But you can, and let's just stick to this gentleman's point to me that my 6-hour videos are all about finger now. As if I'm baiting and switching and doing some sort of, what's that shell game that 3-card Monte. It's just the market tells you each day, each week, each month where your focus should be. And the good thing is if you happen to be in that stock, you don't have any work to do. If you're not, you got to go, oh, shoot. I've got a full position of GTII. I've got a 1.5 position of COSM. And I've only got a quarter position in finger. I'd like to rebalance my risks profile, and maybe I'll just nip at my GTII, and I'll get out of I'm making it up, COSM, and I'm going to go finger because I want to have more exposure there. But I don't know, to the gentleman who brings this up, I don't know how I do that with you without talking about it. And if I'm focused on finger right now, it's because I think finger is a right now stock. It's what I think. Am I right? I have no idea. I mean, I told everyone, I'll say it again, because maybe not all of you were on this call, but I sold my July $2 calls cheaper than where the stock is now, and then bought higher strike prices. I bought the 10s, maybe the 8s, the 8 and 10s. So I took some of the money off the table and I put the rest in higher strike prices because I believe it is going to squeeze. So I miss out a bit. There's a bit of a skip in value, but at least I take my original money off the table. And in this case, a moderate profit. But I didn't get the high price. I'll guarantee you that. And I can bemoan it. I can say, geez, I could have gotten it. I didn't get the high price. But I will tell you, I reestablished my original position in vocal. I don't know anything that's going on, but the stock was under 5 cents. And I said, I'll put some there. And anyway, I have a list of ideas, and I've put XRP on it, by the way, where if you take some monies off the table, you can put it in cash, or you can add to these positions. But my focus, my concentration right now is on Finger. Is that stupid? We'll find out. But I think it has the best chance. I mean, Tom Ronk, who you can dismiss as, worthless, but Tom Ronk has a company called Buy-ins.net. He studies the short data. It's not just from FINRA. It's from contacts all over the street. In Finger, he has said, according to him, and you've heard it from him, he said that the buy-ins have already started, and it's going to take about 3 weeks. That's for Finger. So your suggestion to me is all my videos now are on Finger. I don't even agree with that. I think most of our calls we've talked about other stocks, but there's no question recently I'm really focused on Finger. And why? If it's true, and Tom Ronk has more access to the data than I do, if it's true the buy-ins have already started, and it's going to be completed in 3 weeks. 1. 2, I know from my due diligence that Finger is an ever-growing company. It's an exciting fundamental story. It's in the right markets. It's in the right products. And it's got about now 6 different aspects to its growth that are all firing on all cylinders. 3, there's apparently a big buyer in there. Possibly the buyer who ran TOP to its highs. 4, there's a massive short position. Is it 150 million? I don't. Maybe it's 10 million, 25 million shares. When it's bought in, there's going to be a move because the selling stops and the buying begins. All the buying you've seen so far is in the face of counterfeit selling. If it's Jeffries, when Jeffries tells Jeff Easton, if it's Jeff Easton, you didn't bring the money in, we're buying you in. You got 10 minutes, send a wire. Otherwise, we're buying it in. The selling stops and there's only buying. That's right there. The stock is still selling in the range of the most recent report from Benchmark. Benchmark had a $5 target, but if you read the report, and I did a video on it, they admitted that they were being cautious and that if numbers came out as they proved, the proof was in the pudding, so to speak, they were ready to raise their targets with some alacrity. So I think at $6, it's still in a value zone that you're not taking inordinate risk. I think Finger could be a 30, 40, 50. Ham says $100 stock in a couple of years. So for all of those reasons, not because there's, a new shiny thing. Trust me, I'm telling you, I'm letting you in on a secret. I still have it in one of my accounts. I should be able to find it. Buy RNVA. psst, psst, RNVA, it's going to run. If it, it could go up 2-3 times, but it could really go. And then it turns out that all the market makers were doing were taking advantage of that buying, trading around, making enormous profits on a percentage basis. And now there's no bid. And there wasn't a bid almost right away. It's zero. It's trading at zero bid to 0.0001. I'm not telling you finger because, hey buddy, psst, get in it. Trust me, I got contacts. I'm not doing that. I'm laying out the reasons why I think you can make money. If you don't want to do it, I'm not going to say it's no skin off my nose, because I would like to see as many people here make money and start seeing how they can change their lives, even if it's one credit card bill at a time. So in that sense, it is a little skin off my nose. But you don't have to do it. If you're upset that I'm talking about Finger and I'm not talking about other stocks, I will tell you, I traded stocks a lot. I'm not somebody that sits in front of the computer, and I don't have that keen brain of Avid Trader or Arca where I can remember numbers in my head and I can spend hours at a chart. I could do it if I wanted to. I was a straight A student. So I loved every subject. I'm not bragging because it's meaningless. But I do like to be competent in things. But I learned that the 80-20 rule applies in all aspects of your life. If I'm going to spend all of my energy doing charting, there's a theory called comparative advantage. They talk about it in terms of countries. If the United States can grow corn inexpensively, and it can grow tobacco inexpensively, better than any country in the world, shouldn't it just grow tobacco and corn? Well, not necessarily. They may have a comparative advantage. One product may have a comparative advantage over the other. And you can do it in terms of countries too. But it might be, for all the resources that the United States puts into this limited example, that they get more bang for the buck in corn. And even though, the Dominican Republic grows tobacco more expensively than the United States can, the United States' comparative advantage is in corn over tobacco. I'm making it up. So by focusing on corn, they can get more revenue from corn, and then they can come buy their tobacco, more tobacco than they could have grown themselves from the Dominican Republic. Obviously, my example is preposterous. But in my life, if I were to spend all day at the trading desk and trading, I could make money, but then I couldn't do the other things I wanted to do. And as I'm a bit older now, I'm not sure I want to do that anymore. I did a lot of it. One thing I learned is trading is a mug's game. Unless you have massive discipline and you're almost inhuman in terms of your emotions, you're going to blow up at some point. And that's true of anything in life, I suppose. But respectfully to Mo Bro, I can't remember the third part of the name, I think it's foolish to only focus on one stock as it's going down. GTII had a heart attack in November. It got destroyed by that decision. And it hurt me and it hurt you, and that pisses me off. And it bubbles up sometimes and apparently offends some people. But that's what happened. And to anybody here that's trying to cause that again, and I have no way of knowing, I get a little defensive about it. But I knew GTII was going to take a while to recover. I will say that I think GTII now is on the verge of recovery. And I think the snapback can be really rapid and fast. And the one advantage of what happened in November is that the short position is even huger. We've also got evidence we didn't know before about Alpine. There's a lot going for the trade in GTII. But that doesn't mean that when the opportunity's sitting right in front of you, focus on it. If I'm not a hunter, but you're going after the moose, and a deer comes right, a big buck, all the points. Maybe you focus on the deer first and come back for the elk later or the moose later. And anyway, it's too much on that one discussion. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, Mr. DN81. I watch a lot of poker. That's another aspect that I just don't have the makeup to train myself how to do it. But clearly, you can learn how to be a great poker player. Know the odds. But you are right. A lot of the guys trading are hedge fund guys and professional market traders. So you are right. Well, DD, you're amazing. You took a loss in CRTD quickly at 20 cents. I think I sold a little bit, not at 20. I think it was 18 or 16 or something. And but I didn't sell at all. And ultimately, I just got out because I couldn't deal with it. But I don't think I own now what I owned at my peak. But what I said is I bought back my original position, the original amount I had. I think Jeremy is an honest man. I think he's fighting the shorts. I think he was misguided maybe by his own intellectualism and maybe by his own trust in the system that used to work, by the way. This Wall Street used to work properly. Something's changed. I think that something that has changed is Goldman Sachs bought politicians. But to go into specifics, I think Reg shows the real problem, the market maker exemption. Yeah, I didn't want to watch it anymore. Well, one of the strengths of Finger and GTII is ham. And I used to list that when I would make my videos. And in fairness to the gentleman, I do owe some videos. Doing this every day, believe it or not, can be draining. I know it's probably because of how I handle it and it's my own makeup, but I can get worn out. And some of the things you guys say or some of the stories that touch me, it can really pull energy out of me. I don't know if that's the right description, but it can really drain me. And I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining that I don't always have the energy to do another video. I must have strengths. I don't know what they are, but one of my strengths is not the amount of energy that Ham has from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. all day long. Maybe it's because he plays pickleball, but I don't have that. I get, you know. But then other times, anyway, it's not about me, so let's not talk about that. I need vitamin B1. What I need is people. What I really need is to be in an environment with people and people that I like. Then I have all the energy in the world. I'm not a that goes to being a chart, someone with the chart and the computer. For me to sit with a computer all day long by myself, that just, I'm not an introvert, at least not in that sense. Some of you probably wish I were an introvert. Yeah, in the days of our youth, things were more laid back. And you know, the other day I said something on the space call, and apparently it triggered a whole lot of feedback. And Anna was very kind she's a remarkable person, but she was very kind to put herself, stand by me metaphorically. But it goes to your point. I grew up in a different time. I was careful on two things, and always. But now there's so many other things you got to be careful you don't say. Well, Brian Mawson, I'll try to get to so many questions I ignored. I'll scroll back, but I'll start with I had a professor. I think I told you about him in accounting. He used to call me Lucky, but he would say, I told you that story. I found accounting so boring, but I showed up in this class, big thick book, cost accounting, and he had given a quiz. He had given homework, and I didn't do it. I was a good student. I just hadn't gotten to it, and it wasn't my focus studies. So he went around the room calling on people. Nobody got the question right. Nobody. And I was looking at it. Sure, I was looking at it while he was calling everybody, and he calls on me. And he, like anyone, he couldn't pronounce my name. Mr. Ferrand, how about you? What was your answer? And I looked down at it, and I thought to myself, do I tell him I didn't do my homework, or do I just answer it, and he'll get snappy at me just like the other 25 people he just asked, and he'll move on? So I looked down, and I think I said, I looked at it, I read the question. I put some thought, quick thought in it, but I said D. And he said, wow, you're right. And I guess maybe there were more than one questions. He was going down a whole list. But he said, you're right. Good for you. Finally, someone got an answer right. And then he said, now, could you explain to the class how you came to that answer? And I just looked at him. My face, I'm sure, was turning red. And I said, Professor, whatever, I just guessed at it. And he didn't get mad. It's just that from then on, he called me lucky. Yes, it looks like tomorrow could be the day. I have a theory, which is to say it is all mine. I have a theory that one of the things, at least one of the whales might be waiting for before they buy, is some sort of earnings release. Why? Because if they're ever called on by the regulators, it seems like you just were buying to manipulate the price of the stock. They can say, no, we've done our due diligence, and the revenues, earnings, cash flows, cash on hand numbers came out, and we were pleasantly surprised. And then it meets our growth path, so we decided to take a large position in this stock. That's what I think. Because the FINRA and the SEC only investigate when a stock goes up unexpectedly. That's the only investigation, because they're brain dead. They were taught about things that happened in the 70s when CEOs would manipulate stock prices. For the life of me, I can't tell why, but they don't see the manipulation, or they do, which would make them complicit. They don't see the manipulation of a Lynn Partners, a Yorkville Advisors, Power Up Lending, driving stocks down, communicating with each other. Look at finger on the 3-hour chart. Do I have to? Well, Mr. DN81, I can't find my whiteboard. What is a man without his whiteboard? So I'll just do it on a piece of paper here. 6:30. Let me see where it is. 6:06. We'll pretend that's the problem is determining the definition of breakout. And in all the charts I looked at, very subjective. There was no objective way of determining what the breakout was. In general, I used the high number because it would give the lowest multiple. I was trying to be conservative. But I used the highest number that it had reasonably been trading at before. And it was only until it got there that I called it a breakout. But to be conservative here, let's just use 6:06. So, Mr. DN, I mean, this is, when I studied the charts, every single squeeze I saw went up by at least 10x in a spike. Most went up 20 to 30 times, even 50 times. Many went up 100x. And then the real, there's about 10. The real explosive ones went up 1,000 times or more. Well, if you use $6 as Fingers breakout, 10x is $60. 20 is 120. 30 is 180. 100 is 600. And 1,000 is gulp 6,000. But what I want to emphasize to you is I mean, I have no idea. None of us have any idea how it's going to trade. But as at $6, it's going to run up. They're going to bring it down. It'll run up. They'll bring it down. It'll run up. They'll bring it down. And then it'll just skyrocket to the top. And then all of a sudden, it's all over. So my point isn't so much hold out for the high. My point is, I guess I have 2 points. Don't sell too low, but you can start taking profits. You might even take profits and get a chance to trade again if you wanted to. But use money management to get out all the way as it's going up. And this spike, in my judgment, will allow you to have good to canceled orders out there that are at the nice price. They're at the price you really want. And I think the spike will fill it for you. But you have to have them in beforehand. That's all my point is on that. I'm not saying trade all of your... Well, you can do what you want. I mean, that's for sure. You can definitely do what you want. You can just trade it, just put it all in at... I'm going to gamble it. I'm going to sell it all at $1,000. And wouldn't you be annoyed if the high was $990 and then it came right back down? That's the problem. We can't know the future. Well, I can't believe that Eric Trump left Coke at the White House. Can I eat? Are you talking to me? You want me to email you that page? Maybe I'll try to do it better. My target for Finger is the caution I have with Finger is there are options. It is on NASDAQ. There does seem to be a way that the system, like with AMC and GME, they're able to protect themselves. And just think about it. If the stock went to 1,000, or I'm making it up, somebody out there running a hedge fund is going to say, you know what? I could make a lot of money shorting this because they have access to market makers. Now, the thing is, it's risky until he knows it's going down, or she, because it could go to 2,500. But I would say, I don't know what you're asking me about Finger's target. I would say that I have multiple targets. I'm not going to leave all my money. It's just entries on but I'm not going to, if I'm fortunate enough that it runs in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not going to leave everything till it goes to a high. But I'll say that it'll peak at $2,500 to $3,000. But that's a spike, and it's crazy those are crazy numbers. But I think that's the potential. I think once it breaks out, you could have this stock at $50, $100 or more in the matter of 60 minutes. You were talking to me, all right. Well, Chuck, thank you for that. I wish I'd known it all my life. Killing a man is a hell of a thing. You take away everything he's ever had and anything he's going to have. Well, David, they do have to file paperwork. I'm not sure that they have to file it each day. In fact, if I had to guess, the requirement is either as soon as they go over 4.99% ownership, or they have to file it at the end, within the month or at the end of the month where it happened. So you're catching me out on the specifics of their duty. But yes, they do have to inform. And as you notice, the naked shorts don't have to do that. So the SEC requires complete transparency on the long side, but encourages falsehood, manipulation on the downside. So everyone goes, well, how do you know those numbers are real? Because the SEC does not require transparency when useless human beings and firms, more than useless, dangerous, destructive firms like the Lynn Partners. I would include Benchmark Capital, who refers business to Lynn Partners, Power Up Lending, and their buddies, short shares that don't exist. Gary Gensler does not require any transparency on that. And you have to ask why. I think the reason why is obvious. Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is an international bank, not an American bank. And the people up at the top, they live in rarefied air. If they could put red carpets everywhere they go, they would never step on the ground. They do it for Gary Gensler's there to protect Goldman Sachs. I didn't watch that by Charlie Payne, but I will. Well, Matthew, that's exactly right. If you have a small position in Finger, why not? Why not? By the way, most of the charts that I looked at, they spiked, they came down, and we used to call it a dead cat bounce. But they gave you some opportunity to get out. It nowhere near the exalted numbers, but maybe a number that you can live with. Then the other thing with Finger you have to figure out. If you wait for the very highs, you might not be able to, like I want to do, buy GTII at good prices. So you got to, it's always a trade-off. And you're not going to get an A+ on this trade. You're just not. You're lucky if you get a D. You're lucky if you get the trade 60% right. I'll try to get, if you have an email, I'll email it to you. It's not the best visual. It's not the best visual. Do whales have to file? Yes, David. Grow up, Arthur. Yes, we know it is small, Arthur. It's so small. Rhode Island could kick its ass in a war. I can text you the picture too. Yeah, Dominic, that's right. If it goes between 60 and 150, maybe you take half and buy GTII. I don't know if the earnings are big or not, but I do know that the power, and I'll try to explain that. I think Finger could go really high. I know I maybe I react to some shills. I forget who just said that. Vocal, yeah, Jack. I was down 97% in that. There's some people. All right, I'm not going to scroll anymore because I'm losing control of it. I'll just apologize if I missed your question. There's some people that only learn by doing. They don't learn by listening to others. And there's also some people that in life, things are intellectual challenges, and they just make it more difficult on themselves than need be. I've been accused of that. That's a lot of GTII. Did I ever go on a second date with that lady I met a month or two ago? Dating is a lonely business. Yeah, I did. I can't. You need Jeff. Jack, you need Jeff to say, I don't like fidelity very much. What was I going to talk about just there that someone asked me and I said I would talk about? Darn it. Can't remember. Yes, I think Fingers Squeeze will take more than one day to complete. It's I would be misleading you if I told you I'm not surprised and not somewhat worried in the sense that I just don't understand how they're still able to sell stock. They've got to have such a web of lies, or have a lawyer writing a document for them, or something. Or someone's about to lose a lot of money. So I really can't be 100% sure that the squeeze is going to happen. But it looks like it's here in front of us. And the halts aren't... Did the halts... Let me ask you something, Dominic. Did the halts stop... The halts on EDTX, did those stop the stock from going to 80? Although your point, Dominic, is part of the reason that when I describe these spikes, I really think you have to take money off the table at your own strategy, and just ignore if it goes much higher. That's offset, in my view, by the fact that in his entire time of screening stocks, Ham's probably found 2 or 3 that have this kind of setup. So they don't come around every day. Well, I'm not thrilled by the firing of GG, because you've got a White House which is going to use a woke agenda in the appointment of GG's replacement. So either Goldman Sachs et al. Are going to say, here's who we want, which is bad, or the White House is going to put up some unqualified person because they check some physical characteristic boxes. And I just don't think our financial system should be subject to... It's like that scene in Dirty Harry, when the woman is telling Callahan that the mayor wants more women on the force, and then Callahan is asking questions. Do you have any questions, Callahan? Yeah. How fast do you run the 90? Callahan, are you saying that the mayor wants to wheedle out the Neanderthals in the department? Are you saying? And then he asks a question, and Dagny and Lacey answers it very well, and then he says, the thing is, out there, he says, so maybe you can tell us how many your best felony arrest. I don't have any. Well, maybe you can tell us about your best misdemeanor arrest. I don't have anything. Callahan, I'm just saying, out there, you can get killed, and that's a hell of a price to pay for being stylish. And that's, I think the chairman of the SEC should be someone who is qualified, not someone who Goldman Sachs selects or the woke White House picks, because it's a multicolored rainbow out there. That's fine if that person is qualified. I think it's time for someone who knows what they're doing. My suggestion would be Gurbir Grewal. I think he would be, from my observations, an honest SEC chief. Otherwise, I'd put one of our community in there. Put Anna in there. Put any of the names. Where on the spectrum is my political view? Well, I've been a lifelong Democrat, but I think, maybe it's that I've changed. I don't think so. But I think you have to be honest with yourself about where the parties stand now. And it's also, Hillary worked for Barry Goldwater in her formative years. And Bernie Sanders got arrested defending minority rights, civil rights. But now she's, I think, quite divisive And I think she's remembering racism, just as an example, the Bull Connor days, that happened. They were horrible. I was a kid, and horrifying. It'd make your stomach turn to see the pictures and all of that. But I think most of those men are dead. And I think even in the South that liberals want to say is full of white supremacists, I just don't think it exists. Let me put it this way, as a friend said to me, there's a shortage of white supremacists in the United States. I think anybody my age or younger, or sort of my age, a little bit older, anybody in their 70s, that was the whole Woodstock generation, the whole Vietnam, all my uncles, that Vietnam generation. They don't share that Bull Connor approach to life. They just don't. I'm not saying that there aren't many things that still have to be changed, but I'd rather work on the things that still exist rather than bring up ghosts that are 60, 70 years old. And so my political views, I don't know where they are. I'm still a Democrat. I would vote for RFK Jr. I would vote for Trump. If RFK Jr. does not succeed in his campaign, I'll vote for Trump. I'm a Democrat. I live in a Democratic community here, and I would imagine that my vote really won't make a difference. And I think the Democrats won't let RFK Jr. get very far. So I cannot, in good conscience, support a man who belongs in an old age home and whose corruption is not only there, it's just out in the open to see. This isn't the country I can support. Nor can I support who he appointed as vice president. She did not treat minorities very well when she was in power in California as Attorney General. So to me, all of her words have a ring of hollowness about them. I don't see Kamala Harris as being whatever you want to say, black or African American. I don't see it at all. To me, she looks like she grew up with privilege and basically grew up as what she would call I don't like any of the distinctions, but I think she lived a more white person's life than she would lead you to believe. And I don't think white people all lead white person. It's ridiculous to make these distinctions. There are economic. I think the number one thing that equalizes everyone is education and opportunity. And the Democratic Party used to stand for that across the board. I think the Republican Party does now as well. I'm not as anti-government as the Republican Party, but when I'm seeing the government, I'm starting to be concerned. But I happen to believe that the United States government has stood over its existence for a lot of good in the world. A lot of good. And a lot of good here in the United States as well. So, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of third parties because in our country that doesn't go anywhere. I wish we had two parties. I think both parties are basically the same. I don't know. I hope if our political system collapses, we can keep the ideals of America for whatever comes in its place. So I guess I'm an American in that sense, and I don't think you guys realize it's being taken away, and many of you, I don't know if any of you, but many people are allowing it to happen. But this country has in its Bill of Rights freedom of the press, the right to assemble, the right. Oliver Wendell Holmes ruled on it. The two issues that came up on free speech, we have the right to free speech. Well, what about pornography? Now that doesn't seem it's such a quaint issue now because pornography is everywhere. But his answer was, you'll know it when you see it. How can you regulate pornography? And the other one was you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. But otherwise, we have a right to say what we think, but not in this world anymore. And we have a right to question. We still have those rights. Even though they've been restricted, far more than any other country in the world. Far more. And if people get education, and that's where I think it should be a government. I'd rather spend money on education than bombing deserts uselessly in the Middle East, building multi-billion-dollar airports that we just walk away from in Afghanistan. Build an education system that's the envy of the world. And let everybody go and let everybody have the same opportunity. MAGA, baby. America is a good place, and Americans are good. Republicans are good, Democrats are good. Frommer's talking nicely about Ham lately. I don't think he takes me seriously, but I might call him up and see if we can help him. Well, I'm back in it, but it doesn't mean that I'm ready to tell everyone they should get back in it. But you're 46 and you won't be voting Democrat for a number. Well, I don't think I can vote Democrat again. Last time I voted in the midterms, but I'm in D.C. I voted for every Republican on the ticket, and I'm somewhat active there, except for one guy. I can tell you his name, Vincent Orange. I voted for him, but I love everybody I meet. That's in the Democratic Party here, but anyway, enough about me. I'm tired of talking about myself. How about you? Tell me what you think about me. Yeah, education is down the drink. Universities. I went back to my old school, and everything was woke. And I'm not going to give you my reason because it'll get me in trouble. Oh yeah, I think RFK would put out the news. I think RFK would put out the evidence. I think it's pretty clear that Jack Kennedy got elected with the help of Costello. Is that his name? Costello. And it was with the understanding that, and maybe Jack Kennedy didn't make that representation, with the understanding that they would lay off the so-called mafia. And then when Bobby went after, are you going to answer my questions, or are you just going to sit there and giggle? I thought only little girls giggled, Mr. Costello, or whoever it was. When Bobby went after that, I think the mafia killed them. But then, when you look at it from the CIA wanted the war in Vietnam, and the older I get, I do think Kennedy was going to pull us out of Vietnam. So I wonder if there's something there. I have a hard time bringing Castro into it, even though I guess we tried to kill Castro. I have a hard time making that link. And then the one everyone asks about is LBJ. I think LBJ covered it up. I mean, it's strange how the car got cleaned out. But I don't know. Is it LBJ and George W. Bush and all that? Maybe he just heard about it, and I don't know. I really like the books by Robert Caro on LBJ. I really like what LBJ did politically. He got the agenda through that Kennedy started but was somewhat hesitant about. Johnson got it done, and we shall overcome. So, like all great men, I guess he was flawed. I don't know, but I'd like to, it's been long enough. You guys don't understand. I never contemplated living long enough to go past the 50 years required before that information came out. But now it still hasn't come out. Well, without sounding Mexican Silverback, without sounding like white guys can, I hope I don't sound that way, but both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, I don't think I read a biography on Martin Luther King, but I read a lot about him and lived through it. But one time when I was working at Merrill Lynch, and young, and it was the weekend for Martin Luther King's birthday, 3-day weekend, and my roommate, he was a nice guy. I've lost touch with him, but he was a nice guy. He wanted to watch football, but we were all so broke back then. We didn't have, back then electronic things were expensive. So we went to Sears, where I had a credit card, and we bought a black and white TV and put it up so he could watch football the weekend. I've never been I don't need to watch football. But on one of the days, and I guess it was Martin Luther King's birthday, I got out of the shower. We were going to go out and go to one of these. We would go to these various happy hours, which had cheap drink prices and then free food. I think while he was in the shower, I had gotten dressed. I turned on the TV, and there was only 4 channels or 5 channels. One was public PBS. And they were playing the speeches of Martin Luther King. And I guess I had never really listened all the way through to the I Have a Dream speech. And Tim came out and said, well, I'm ready to go. Let's go. I said, I don't want to go. I want to watch this. And on this little black and white TV, he gave that ringing speech, and it gave me chills listening to it. Absolute chills. And so I listened to it again. And every time since, it still gives me chills. Maybe not quite as much, but there's times when I'll listen to it and see if I still get the chills. And I still do. Martin Luther King fought for something, and he was a young man. He fought for something as the ideals of all the men and women of that generation. It's been marginalized by the term sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yes, I guess that was there, but there was an idealism. There was a desire to change things, and that permeated all the adults I ever grew up with. And by the way, Malcolm X's I think it was an autobiography, but maybe it was a biography. I think it was an autobiography. I read that, and man, what a life! But then what a inspirational what he made of himself and the ideals he had. And then the one everybody leaves out that at least motivated me, and he was a hero because of it, was Muhammad Ali. And these men all weren't perfect, and there were more. It's not just those typical safe ones to choose. But yeah, I'd like to find out who killed MLK as well. I would think in that case it could have been more FBI and maybe CIA. I don't know. We don't know. Well, I can't read that, Stanley. Godfather of Harlem brings up how LBJ and FBI conspired to take out Malcolm X. All right, I'll just Godfather of Harlem. I don't know why the government would take out Malcolm X, or it was just different times. And that's the thing, you guys, many of you don't realize. The things were really different then. Without making any, I don't, it doesn't bother me at all. But here in D.C. now, almost everywhere you go, you see young women and young men in relationships, or it appears they're in relationships. There's a lot of young white women with young African American men. But back then, oh my God, that would have caused, that would have been difficult. So things have changed. Well, I can't believe they're letting Eric Trump get away with bringing cocaine to the White House. Why do I smell cartel? No offense, cartel. I don't get that one quite. No, it didn't change with the Clintons. I when Obama ran, I was really supportive of him, and I will admit I got emotional when he took the oath of office. But I think he could have been a much greater president than he was. I don't think he was a great president. But I do think his election changed how people see each other in this country, and I think that was great. I always point out he was half white. But unfortunately, I saw how the Clintons attacked him, and I really saw a side of the Clintons I didn't like. And anyway. Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. The other song that I remember in that time zone for myself was, oh gosh, it was Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. It was Bad Luck. Bad Luck. Do the flags bother me? I don't have flags here. I don't know if I'm ever going to drink again, but I preferred bourbon over scotch, but I liked them both. But I didn't drink a lot of that. Most of my life I drank beer and then some gin and tonics, and I would have other things, and then red wine primarily. Well, I make column on Vocal. I sold Vocal to get into something, and I made a trade out of it. I was hoping to come back into Vocal before it ran, and I got. I don't know where Vocal closed. I met Jeremy. I did some videos on Created, and I like Jeremy. Yeah, I overpaid, damn it. I panicked. It's 5 cents. Vocal's in trouble with its financings and with I think Jeremy's sort of perhaps misunderstanding of what was going on. On the other hand, I think now he does understand it, but he still has to work. There's a lot of financings on his cap table or balance sheet, whatever you want, that it looks difficult to clean it all up, but if anybody can do it, he can. And anyway, I like him, and I think the two things that troubled me. One is that he didn't see that Jeff Easton and the rest as having enough brains to short his stock like they do, and that's just not being willing to accept that other people can be quite so cruel. He thought it was just the computers. But also, he had mentioned back then that he would be willing to, if he had to, take one of these financings because you might not have any choice. I don't agree with that. I think you got to James Dean it. On the other hand, that guy had a lot of courage, and I think he did stand up against Wall Street. I think he did stand up against financings that were wrong. It's just, I think it's really just once he understands it fully, he will fight. So Scott does act in Western movies. I watched 2 of them. And there's 2 movies I watched with Scott Eastwood. Number 1, I don't always know what women find attractive, so don't take it from me. But I think Scott Eastwood is a handsome man, and he's got a future ahead of him, and he's a pretty good actor for a young guy. He doesn't have his father's charisma and his father's, but I like Scott Eastwood. Well, that's going to be his biggest problem, Matthew Parker. I don't think money is going to trust Frommer again. And, I think he burnt some bridges that he can't renew. But I'm not willing to. I had to quit drinking because gout was not worth the pain. Well, although I'm having gout now in my elbow here, but I'd have to agree with you on that. It's not worth it to me. And I really don't. It's weird. I don't see the upside of drinking. I miss it, hanging out with people. But I right now, I just don't see it. What are the names? I'll try to look it up. I lost a ton on vocal. And I think his decision not to take the $3 deal, but I don't know all of, he has responsibilities. Somebody asked me a question. Fork the shorts. Fork me, fork you. I've been drinking. Well, somebody just asked me, call options. That's what Stanley, I'll try to answer that. Who's the guy that did the movie with Jodie Foster? I always forget his name. He did A River Runs Through It. He does so many movies. I can't remember it. Anyway, he quit drinking, but he always admitted that he enjoyed the years he drank. I can see him, but I can't remember him. Yeah, I think I'll try to call him. I don't know if he'll take my call. So your question is on if the stock goes up and you own calls, will if it goes up in a spike, will you be able to get out? I think in the there he is. I think that if I were a younger guy, I would just assume he's a jerk and he's arrogant. But when you watch him when you watch him, and I guess he's got a girlfriend. When you watch him do the act, he's really seems a good guy. Well, there's a bunch of movies he was in. I think I watched The Longest Ride, Wrath of Man, Fury. I might have watched Fury. That's about it. There looks like some... Oh, Diablo. That's the one I watched. This one, Diablo. I thought it was a good movie. It's a little dark, but Diablo is a good movie. So anyway, when the stock price goes up and you own calls, you can put orders in as GTC, just like the stock, and I would recommend that. But you can also do it each day, so you don't have to pick your price now. The things that will happen as the stock price goes up, the premium will come out of your in the money calls, so that you're really selling your in the money calls for almost parity with what the stock price is. It's unlikely there'll be premium. The premium will be in the higher strike prices. So when you're looking at selling your calls, the stock finger might be trading 23.5, 23.70, and you want to sell your $10 calls at 14. That's not going to, unless the stock keeps going up, that's not going to happen. And you might find that instead of selling at 13.5, they might only be selling at, 13 3/8 or 13 5/8. No, 13 3/8. So you might take a little bit of a haircut. So my only point is when you start to sell, don't worry about 50 cents or $1 or even 25 cents, whatever. Just get out and maybe just hit the bid. Or during the day, like if tomorrow the stock opens at 9 and quickly runs to 15 and goes to 21, I think tomorrow's Friday, you could say to yourself, I'm not going to sell now. I think it's going higher on Monday. So Monday morning, you could put an order in at, I don't know, $30 an option. Maybe it goes off. Or just see how the trading goes. But it's really a hard discipline, and I've made a mistake with it, is you just got to take profits in calls. They can be so volatile. And hopefully this will be a squeeze where you don't have to make any decisions at all. You can look at the stock price, say to yourself, I think the stock's going to 75, and therefore I'll put my calls out at, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, and 70, something like that. Buenas noches. Watch Diablo, Mexican Silverback. Let me know what you think of it. I think it depends on the time and the order, sales, place, but volume. It does. I use E-Trade, and I sold 10 $3 calls today at 3 in the morning. I put it in at 3. I guess I missed. It looked like it should go off. The ask was 3. I think the ask was 305 or 310. The bid was 285 or 295. I put it in at 3, and then I thought the stock went up, but I didn't get it. And I left it in all day. And as I was walking my dog in the afternoon or going to the bank or whatever I was doing, boom, it went off. Well, then, of course, the stock went higher, so I could have gotten a higher price. But these expire next Friday. And with options, you're not gonna ring the bell, as Ham says. Do they have to buy back the calls? I don't know who they is, and I don't know if you're talking about the options exchange. No, they'll expire on either. What'll happen next Friday? The manipulators, which Gensler is perfectly happy with, he's just not happy with it in crypto. But the manipulators, you saw it in, I think, Finger last time. But let's say the stock next week is trading at let's say it's trading at $17 on Thursday. Friday they open up, it runs to 21, 22. And let's say they still have some power. It's not just going out of control. However high it gets, they're going to try to trade it back down and pin it on a strike price. Let's say Friday it trades to 21.22. They may in the closing hours drive the stock to 20, but they may get it back down to 15. I'm making the numbers up. Then they can take all that call premium all the way down, and they'll be able to take some put premium, but mostly the call premium, and have a nice day. Thanks for stopping by. They do it every expiration date. They take all the premiums, and that's just life. That's just life. You know they're doing it, so that's why oftentimes you could avoid that by selling your position before you get into the last day. Normally, the bids would disappear on all these calls. I'm on, the July 7s, 8, 9s, and 10s all still have a bid. Normally, they'd all be gone now. But the reason there's a bid is because the upside risk is so explosive. So anyway, that's what happens. Would the Lynn partners and their buddies who may have sold calls naked to try to drive the stock price down, and then they colluded, SEC, if you're listening, FINRA. They bought puts, just like somebody did on the day that the Twin Towers came down. They bought puts in airlines. Well, somebody bought puts and somebody sold a lot of calls, and then they drove the stock price down in Finger with fake shares. But you don't investigate that if you're watching. You'll try to see if I'm going to say something that is manipulative. But they manipulate the stock price of Finger and other stocks every single day, and you do nothing about it. Nothing. It's shocking. And the one person you slap their wrist, Merrill Lynch, you fine them $2 million. Merrill Lynch makes $2 million on the interest of their overnight credit balances. And then you come to Congress and you want more money for funding because you don't have enough agents. Anyway, you're hopeless. You're hopeless. So yeah, the Lynn partners, in the scenario I just gave you, if they're selling calls and they can pin the strike price next week below where they sold them, they never have to buy those back. If, on the other hand, the stock starts running and then the calls start to run, they're going to have to buy those back. It's a dangerous game, but they control it. It's their chessboard. It's their umpires and their buddies. And it's all corrupt. But it can get out of control. And that's what they call a gamma squeeze. How did Fingers earnings go? I don't think they're announced yet. Do you see an announcement? I didn't see one. I think that's right. I agree with my theory since it's mine. Tonight we have with us Ann Elk. That's A-N-N-E Elk, not A-N Elk. Yes, Ann. Ann Elk. And she has a theory on dinosaurs. Yes, it is my theory, which is to say, it is my theory and it is all mine. Yes, Anne? It is my theory. Yeah, I lost a lot on vocal. And it is mine. Yes, Anne, we understand it is your theory. What is your theory? Well, the dinosaur is very thin on one end, much, much thicker in the middle, and thin again on the other end. That's it, is it? Yes, that is my theory, which is to say... That's it, is it? Well, Anne, you seem to have hit it right on the head. So if I hold my $7 August call until it reaches 20... No. I'm trying to understand your question. You will see the buyback they'll be buying back the stock. If they're short those calls, they're likely to have to buy those back. But they're not buying yours per se. And there's not going to be a higher price paid for your calls if they buy your calls back. It's just the whole complex will go up. And the calls are more likely to be following the price of the stock than the fact that they have to buy them in. Because as the calls go up, there will be sellers. Well, that's right, Frank and Anastasio. They let 42. I can't remember if it was individuals or companies. They let off the hook, and it just bugs me if it might have been Kurt Kramer. Oh, is there an option strategy calculator on Google? I'll have to learn how to do that. I hate to admit I'm not very good at entering those orders. Dozier said GTI was short at 62% today. Yeah. Somebody asked earlier about GTI. We've been in it for 2.5 years. They don't have revenues and all that. But one thing you got to recognize, they don't have a burn rate. CRTD got in trouble because of its burn rate. Some companies have revenues, but they still have a big burn, financing needs. So I think GTI, they're just digging the hole bigger. I'd like to see, thank you, Chris. I don't know. I'll try to figure out how to do that. August 4 calls plus shares and a buttload of GTII. Well, I'd like your August 4s 6-6. If we get into August and those 4s go to, well, let me look where they are right now. I'll just use current prices. And by the way, just hold them. I mean, you don't have to do anything, but let's see. I got to get even with this up and down, which is premium killing, the August 4s are trading for 210, which is equivalent on the bid. That's, I'm sure you get a better price than that tomorrow, but at 210 on the bid, which effectively means you'd be getting $6. But one thing you can do, I'm not saying do it right now, but at some point, if the stock starts to move up, you sell but I'll use this example as it is. So you could sell your 4 calls at 210, and let's say you had 10 of them. That's $2,100. But then you could buy. This isn't a very good. I wouldn't do it yet. But just using this example, you could buy the $10 calls for August at $1.05. Same number, 10 of them, and take your original money off the table. And that's how to do it. Or you could buy double of the 10s. I wouldn't do it yet because there's too little profit, right? Too little premium in your 4s and way too much premium in the Augusts right now. I would wait until to do something like I just suggested. I would wait until you're in August so you can get rid of this extra premium. So much premium. Oh, you got them at 90 cents. That's great. All right, Chris, thank you. I'll look for it. Yeah, please send me one, David. Matt E. set up an email for me, but then he sent me a message. I'm not sure. I was confused if he wants me to still give that out. But yeah, send it to me. But I really like your finger $4 calls. You paid 90 cents, so that probably seemed like a lot at that time. But now, even with all this premium destruction, you're up more than 3 times on your money, 4 times on your money. I mean, it's great. And if Tom Ronk is correct and the buy-ins have begun, and it's going to happen within 2 or 3 weeks, that should be a great trade. A lot of ifs in my sentence. All right, 622. I might quit at 6:30 because I'm feeling like I've turned off most of my audience, and I didn't mean to, but it's been a long call. Long call calculator. Yeah, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to see that. On E-Trade, they have a way to roll your call options. I haven't learned how to do it. You know, we used to have tickets, and you could write sell the such and such call, buy such and such call, and then you did it for a net spread. And then you didn't have to calculate. You didn't have to figure out what you were selling the July calls for and what you were buying the August calls for. You just knew you wanted a spread of, $1.25, and you'd put that in. But they don't do it. I don't know how to do these fancy things anymore yet. Yeah, that's hanging moss. Finger 624. I forget the number Ham gave as his VWAP, but it was somewhere around here or less than that. So they're underwater on everything they shorted over the last 2 days. Hey, not legal advice. I'm sorry if I got a little bit hot at that one guy, but I think of anyone you might understand that it's hard to keep to a carefully honed message, and it's not always easy being cheesy. It's not easy being cheesy. Another marathon. Well, I don't know. I hope I gave some knowledge. It's, the biggest thing about trading, there's no correct answer. None. And so it's a lot of just take your profits. And I know what's going on here, though. A lot of us want to make one trade, hit it big on one trade. And I get that. Of course, I get that. But it doesn't necessarily work that way. There was plenty of times over the last 2 years to sell GTII and buy it back. I didn't do it, but and with other stocks. But these squeezes are set up, and it's in more than one stock. I'm just happening to focus on the handful that I owned Wolf, for example, but I sold it not out of impatience, but I thought one of the other stocks was going to go. As it turned, like GTII, I think I bought GTII. I should have held on to Wolf, and I'd be buying back GTII now. But you don't always get it right. But anyway, with trading, to me, I'd rather buy, if I know the story and the stock's down, I'd rather buy it then when nobody's watching. And then when there's an event and it starts to run, if it's a core position, I won't sell, but might as well sell. And you might not get the high or the low. And it drives you crazy sometimes. I should have done that. You gotta let that all go. Well, your MKC, your losses on MMTLP, and I forgot to call back in today, but I submit to you, you won't have losses on MMTLP. And I also submit to you, you deserve massive percentage gains in that investment. But we'll see what happens. You're not going to get zero. Now, I agree with you if you're talking about opportunity cost during this time, that's sort of dead money. But go ahead and trade GTII with that concept because you might be surprised you get 2 for 1. I know I have to be more balanced, and VWAP 569. And I think I come across sometimes as maybe more upset than I actually am. But anyway, it's hard to change completely. Well, as long as you're green, you're good, Warren. But sometimes, I mean, if you're already wealthy or you're already independent, what I'm about to say doesn't necessarily apply. But sometimes when you know a story and you know it cold and you've studied it, and your brain knows, in Finger, for example, there's 150 million to cover. But then the other part of your brain's saying, well, wait a minute, the gentleman from the American Stock Exchange, I can't remember if he told me I can use his name or not. I'll ask him next time. I think he said yes, but it's making me nervous, so I'll wait. But he's saying it's not 100. So you have that in your brain. And then you have in your brain, the last time it ran to 10, they pulled it back. It ran to 17, they pulled it back. You have that in your brain. But then you have also in your brain, there's a big buyer. The company is completely different than it was 2.5 years ago. They still have growth to do. So anyway, you have all this in your head, and in my case, I've known Finger 5 years. I don't want to get out for 50 cents, $1, $2. I want to see if that run happens. Luckily, in this time, as opposed to back in Thanksgiving, I don't think we're all by ourselves here. And I really think that if you sold, it's not going to change the trajectory of this story one bit if a bunch of you all sold. Thank you, MKC. I keep telling myself just to be, I watch sometimes. I don't watch, usually I'm so worn out on the topic, but I've tried to listen in to Ace is the Place for the helpful investment man. And he doesn't get rattled. He's much more he's unflappable. I think I'm a bit flappable. All right, 6:30. Well, yeah, Warren, but yeah, do what you think. I like 500 as a number, but I also probably would take some money off the table on the way up. Well, Michelle Glister, you give away my game plan. I have it here. I want to do the same thing you did. I think buying Go Logic and Logic makes sense. And you can take the meat of basically what you, Michelle, and I'll go. I won't waste your time much longer, but using that gentleman's August 4 calls as an example. Let's say the stock went to 10 tomorrow. And I'm not telling him to do it yet. I think he could do it in August, and then the premiums on the cheap calls will be less. But just to use that example, let's say we're in August and the stock's at 10. Those $4 calls are worth $6 each. Why leave that at risk? Sell them and make the $6 each. But let's say you had 10 or 20 of them. You could buy the August, I'm sure by then, the 15s or the 20s. Buy them for 50 cents or buy them for $1. So let me use it as an example of the if it were at 10 and you got $6 for them, you could say, you know what, I'm going to spend $1 on the August 9s or the 10s, 8s. It depends on what they're trading for. Let's just say, no, the 10s wouldn't be $1. It would probably be you'd probably have to go to the 15s or something. So you're going to miss everything from 10 to 15, but you've spent $1, so it's as if you sold your calls for $5. Take that $5 off, put it in a stock, and hey, Bob's your uncle. That's one thing you can do. Yeah, I don't know. Ace is a pretty sharp guy. I know it covers half my face. I'm not sure I like this setup, but if you had a face like mine, it might be a good thing. Passionate. Passion. One of his worst songs, but I used to listen to it. Oh, Ricky Beck, your brain has trouble telling you anything. And I'm sorry you're in a wheelchair. I don't know. Tell yourself, up until recently, my brain has trouble telling me anything. But today and tomorrow, it's going to be better. I don't know, something like that. All right. I'm going to 6:35. I think I'm going to go and walk my dog. It wasn't scary to see it drop, and you're picking the very low. The low on the day was, you didn't pick the low. It went as low as 490 today on Finger. It didn't scare me at all. This was a bear raid, and they're trying to take out any stop loss orders, trying to shake you guys out. They're trying to cross amongst themselves to rescue the friends that helped them drive it down. They manipulate the price. The SEC doesn't care about that. But they manipulate the prices down. They bought puts, so maybe they were driving it down so they could sell their puts. They sold calls. Maybe they're driving it down so they could cover their calls. The SEC cares nothing about this illegal manipulation. When they do catch them at something, they just go, oh, you mustn't have meant to do that. You went to good schools and, gosh, you're doing good things for our country. So anyway, it didn't scare me. But maybe, CB, you don't know the story. You have to know the story. You have to have confidence in your due diligence, understand what's going on, and then you're not scared. You see it as an opportunity. What I did, I didn't catch it right at 490, but around 510, 520, I said, you know what? Screw these guys. I'm going to buy some calls. And I bought some calls. It didn't scare me. To say it was not uncomfortable wouldn't be true either. It's uncomfortable. But CB, thank you for pointing out the negative. I think it's something that we need to bear in mind when we have green in our accounts on both the stock and calls. They're extremely volatile. And the other side, and it's not just Lynn Partners, it's other people out there, they want to take your money from you because they see you as sheep. They see you as lambs to slaughter. So you just have to learn to take some money off the table. But ideally, CB, what you would have done is sold calls, some of them, or stock a couple of days ago, have some cash ready for when the stock pulls back. I wasn't in that position, so I just bought calls while it was down, and now they're all up. They're all in those calls I bought are all profitable right now. Now we'll see if I can make a profit on them. So I saw it more as an opportunity than being scary. I couldn't believe they were bringing the price back down again. But we'll find out if I'm right. Yeah, I think the short's way down. CB, we love you. What's the CBDC Jubilee? I'd have to look that up. Are they going to forgive debt? If they're going to forgive debt, that's what Jubilee means in finance, is forgiveness of debt. But I don't know. I got to read about it. Looks like GTII and Finger went separate ways. Really? I thought GTII went down today. It did. Finger went down. It's been quite a week with a strong Monday. All right, you can ring my bell. Ring my bell. Ring it. I will say good night, and I'll thank each of you for staying on so long. Thank you, CB, and we'll probably be on tomorrow. And all credit goes to Ham and the others. Avid has another video out. Busy Brands runs these great screens. I think credit needs to be given to Drew Diligence, Junk Savvy, Statue of Liberty, and so many others. The GTI Army, and we'll take it from here. But I'm sure we'll be back on tomorrow, particularly if what I expect. By the way, I'll finish with this. What I expect is there's going to be great earnings release. I'm going to focus on cash on hand, current assets, and revenues. And maybe they'll have such a thing as cash flow. I'm not sure earnings are going to reflect the growth yet because they're not big and they're growing. So they have costs and it's a normal thing. So I'm going to be more focused on revenue. What Lynn Partners is going to try to make you think is it's a bad earnings announcement. I think it's going to be a great one, but that's what we'll find out. Watch for Ham's tweets and see how he responds to it. He'll know. But anyway, it's everybody's hard work, your hard work, the fact that you guys are willing to learn and you're not selling knee-jerk on the way down. I think you're going to see them try to sell it off, but I think in the face, if it's good numbers, I think there's going to be a lot of buying. And then these assassin shorts, these day shorts, these illegal manipulators that the SEC, FINRA, Congress, journalists don't care about, they're going to be looking at losses and they're going to cover before Friday close because they don't want to go over the weekend at risk. This is dynamite to day trading shorts. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me just see if anyone said anything. What's the difference between selling and exercising them? If you exercising, you're just adding to your cost. If you buy this can of soda, it costs you $1 right now, and we're going to be walking into the desert with a big supply of these cans, but you're willing to buy a call on this can for 10 cents. So I have a bunch of cans in the back of my truck under in a refrigerator. And I'm willing to sell you a call for 10 cents to buy my cans from me. I have to buy those cans, put them in the trunk. What you've bought has cost you $1. I bought them, let's say I bought them wholesale 50 cents or something. As we drive into the desert, there's a bidding action going on for cans of water, and all of a sudden those cans people are willing to pay $5 for. Well, you're going to come to me and you're going to say, I want to exercise my call option on this can of water for $1. And you want to do it on 100 cans. Well, it's going to cost you $100, plus you already paid me 10 cents. So you're going to, well, I leave that 10 cents out. You're going to exercise it at $1. You're going to have to pay me $1, but you got, I'm losing my train of thought. I sold you the call at 10 cents. So you've already paid 10 cents. To exercise it, it's going to cost you $1. So now you've got $1.10 in this can. But the calls are trading for $4, because the cans are trading at $5.10. The calls are trading for $4, $4.10 bid. So the profit is $4. You paid 10 cents. You have $4 profit on 10 cents. Other people will buy the call I sold you for $4. Why pay me $1? All you can sell the can for is $5. You pay me $1. You've put up 10. You sell the can for $5.10, but it cost you cash to get that profit. You can get the same profit. Don't buy the can. You can get the same profit just selling your calls to somebody else. There's no reason to exercise. The point is, there's no reason to exercise. So I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna and Richard Odin, you got, before you do calls, there's an option clearinghouse book that every brokerage firm, it's probably online now, you should read that. And actually you got to sign off before they give you approval to trade that you have read it. You should understand the basics. Yeah, the tracks are in bad shape, and I wonder if it's on in purpose. I think the biggest number I'll be trying to look at is revenue and cash flow. But remember the cash on hand, which I remember was $9 million. As they take that money, buy the minutes, roll it, that keeps growing. I'd love to see a higher number, because let's say it goes to, I don't know what it'll be. Let's say the cash on hand's $15 million. Well, then they can roll $10 million over and over again. They got $5 million to grow their other businesses. It's just this is going to be a machine. So anyway, I will sign out. I'm going to say peace, love, and happiness. And we'll catch you on the flip side. And thank you all very much.